Yeah. Yeah, you like that?
I love apples.
Don't you like that? You like that apple, white boy?
I like apples.
Yeah, I bet you like that shit. I bet you like that shit, white boy.
I really do. I don't know why you keep saying it like that, but yeah, I do.
Yeah, why would I say like what, white boy?
No, it's all. I like. Do you like apples?
Yeah, I like apples. Do you like apples, white boy?
Hey, what?
Welcome to a brand new episode
Hi.
of Drag the Lake. I'm one of your hosts, Andy Malafrino. With me, as always, the late great Pat, the Grateful Dead, George Pat. How are you doing, buddy?
Oh, guys, I just want to tell you from the bottom of my heart, I love every single one of you Draggets for being here today because it's a very special day. It's Sunday, and we're streaming, baby.
It's the
We're
fucking
here.
Lord's Day. We do that every Sunday over here on the Drag the Lake channel. Thank you so much for joining us. Also, if you want a full day of Pat and Andy on Sunday, we do also hang out over on the No More Heroes channel. Just look up No More Heroes with Andy Malafrina. Subtext freelance agent Pat George is also there.
Yeah, I'm also on the show, I guess, but whatever.
But no, yeah, so we also moved No More Heroes over to YouTube, so you can spend the whole you're basically middle of your Sunday listen to us fucking yap. Is there
There's 2 more heroes on Sunday?
Is there anything better? Is there anything better than listen to us fucking fat fucks yap?
No, there actually isn't. I maybe chew in the mic if you want me to get another apple.
Dude, I gotta be honest. I call myself fat purely for comedic effect now. Like I just posted, where the fuck was it? We were talking about it a little bit on No More Heroes. We posted a new episode of Panties. The boys were a little upset with the audio, fair enough. But I gotta be honest, like I posted this picture of all of us sitting on the couch, me, Lemaire, and Sarah Bell. And first off, we need to get Lemaire to the gym. I'm not saying he's fat. I'm just saying there's so much potential to make him a goddamn fucking unit. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Like I just want to mold him into the biggest boy ever. But I'm looking at me just like, I love being a thick bitch.
Yeah, a beefy boy. Yeah.
Yeah, I look at that. I look at that and it makes me very happy. I got to be honest. So, is the sleep apnea great? No, but do I like looking at that picture? Abso-fucking-totally.
I however am just fat. So it's just regular old fat.
You're a bit more of a weapon than I am, though. You got to give yourself that. You are like if we're out, if there's a threat, I can get big like a grizzly bear, but you can actually do the jujitsu to fucking take him out.
I could probably beat up most people, but it's not necessarily something I want to have to do. I would rather. I could do it even if I was. I could probably do it if I was probably 50 or so less. You know what I mean?
How much do you weigh?
Around 290. You asked me. I feel like you ask me this every show. 293. I think the last time I checked.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought you were much. You wear it better than me then, because I thought you and me are like you and me are like the same weight. I thought
you were my pants where they're supposed to be. I think that's the only reason.
What does that mean?
Because if you wear it under here, you get a big belly look. You know what I'm saying? But if I wear my pants up here, but it cuts me off kind of like a Tootsie Roll. So I have like a section here and then a section here. But I'm not like a fellow comic Chris William like kind of thing. I'm not like a big old fupa looking thing. But I got a little lumps. I'm shapes. You know what I mean? I kind of look like a lazy fleshy snowman. You know?
Well, I think you look nice.
Well, you know what, Andy? That makes one of us.
Hell yeah. I know you had a big old weekend musically and stuff, and I know that's going to be a long tail. So I want to show this to you real quick before we get into that, just because I think it'll make you very passionate and say very hurtful things to people.
Are we doing the pit thing I sent you?
What pit thing did you on Instagram?
Pit maintenance crew. It's not a pit police segment necessarily, but maybe we could call in the pit cleanup crew or something.
Okay. What did you send me? When did you send me this?
It was more of a stage diver. It was, hold on. I think it was on Instagram. It might have been earlier.
Oh, it was a little bit back.
Yeah, it might have been a little bit back. I can look for it while you're bringing up your thing if you want.
By the way, you sent me those videos where that guy, Oh, no, sorry, this is just an MMA thing.
Yeah.
I think you sent me a video of that dude who hands the MMA fighters the beer after their match. I love those videos. But the other one, someone posted a video where it's just a bunch of dudes getting the Vaseline and shit on their face, and someone being like, "Why would people do this?" You're like, "Why not? It's so fun. You get to pretend, you get to do the thing the fighters do."
Yeah, that guy is really funny. Tate, his name is That Damn Tate, I think, on Instagram, and he is Tate. I can't remember. I think that's his last name, but he's a cut man for the UFC, and also I think most combat sports or anything like that. I've seen him at Karate Combat. Seen him on I think Bare Knuckles, stuff like that. So he is he's like a celebrity, kind of like how Herb Dean kind of got big for UFC as a referee and stuff like that. There's like other celebrities that come out of it. He's one of them because he's very funny, first of all, and he also has like, I think he kind of eases a lot of the fighters. So I think it's kind of like one of those things. But I sent it to you Wednesday. It looks like.
Curie sent it to me.
Yeah, I'll resend it.
Oh wait, is it the thing with the sprinkler?
Yeah.
Okay, I got it right here.
Okay, yeah.
All right, yeah, this was funny. Yeah, no, because so a lot of times we come on here and we talk about the pit police, but I think there's going to be I think we're starting to realize now that there's a much broader infrastructure that the pit needs tending to. Like, you can't, if you look at it like a town, you can't just have, like, you need the fire department, you need the cops,
you got the furniture movers. We've seen furniture movers in the pit, moving tables, ladders. Instances.
Oh my god, we got to have Pit Got Junk to like get rid of all the trash. You saw post Sick New World pictures. You need the Pit Got Junk.
Yeah, you got pit press. You know what I mean? You have people out there with cameras sticking their fucking $4,000 cameras into the pit and then bitching when they get kicked.
You need pit insurance.
Pit insurance. Yeah, there's so many opportunities. There's so many different revenue streams here we can find. But this one would be under pit maintenance crew. We would have to call.
And also too, I always joke, I love the service he does for the world, but I'm not a fan. At the beginning of the Hate 5-6, I'm not a fan of the Hammer and Sickle. Maybe we need to write a novel like the Pit Atlas Shrugged.
Well, we're gonna go that far. We're gonna get the pit lore and everything. Yeah,
we gotta have pit. We gotta write pit books to change people's philosophy.
I want to serialize the pit. Let's call Netflix and see if we can get a mini series out of this.
Call it the Pit.
Call it the Pit. Yeah, I mean, it's just a story of lives that happen at shows in the pit.
But anyway, so yeah.
Oh my god, you know what sucks is I kind of like that idea. That's so fucking dumb.
Wait, what was the idea? Sorry, I was thinking of my next joke, so I didn't listen fully to your joke.
It's basically you can make a teen drama where all 4 stories kind of intersect at one show at the end of the episode, but you call it the Pit because they all end up at the pit.
I don't hate it, Pat.
I mean, that's like, it feels like that's like a Disney show or something, or like one where nobody gets SA'd. Remember, because we're on YouTube. Yeah, let's get into the awesome clip that I love.
We're on YouTube. Can't talk like adults.
Also, the music in this clip fucking rips. I like it. Yeah. So I don't know if we can play it on YouTube or not, but
we could play it.
It's like 3 seconds.
These hardcore bands don't copyright their shit. Which we encourage too. Please stop copyright striking everyone. But yeah, so this is why we're realizing we need to expand on our pit services. We can't just provide, detective agency and sort of protection forces. We need to also provide infrastructure maintenance.
Right. You need police, EMTs.
That was super loud. But yeah, dude. Dude.
They're just playing.
In the fucking audience, I'd be so goddamn mad.
Because somebody got hit with the metal piece. Because he just broke it loose, and that just...
Oh, dude, you could bash me over the head with the metal piece. I don't want to be wet at the show. Like, I'd be more upset about this than when I got punched in the face and started bleeding, bro. I would rather be I would rather have my face covered in blood than have my whole outfit wet.
Dude, this is, but I mean, don't you think it would be nice and cool? And I was just talking about like how slippery pits are and everything, and like even recently at a show. But my favorite part of this, I don't know if you can make it any. You probably can't make it any bigger. Is the fucking security guard? Do you notice the security guard in this
Oh,
clip?
he's 900 years
He's
old.
a 900-year-old guy, and he just comes out and looks at it closer. Like I think, like first of all, I think he's down in the pit and gets pulled up on stage.
Yeah, he like jumped on stage.
That guy right there in the yellow shirt is the guy who was supposed to catch stage divers and to keep children from murdering the band. And then he just gets up and he goes, "What the hell happened? What the hell?
What in tarnation did you flippy retards do?
Somebody hit the main switch." You know what I mean? Like I think he was the janitor, but they just gave him a yellow shirt that day because he's just like,
fuck, that's
just
funny.
looking at it.
Also, too, it's so funny the band doesn't stop playing.
Oh. They continue to rock. And then the guy's just kind of there in a daze. He's just like Saving Private Ryan. He's just kind of like, what the
what's he gonna do?
Yeah, dude, what was he gonna do at all right there? What is he doing right there? He's probably getting crushed right there. That guy, look, he's standing right there and he just starts walking away from it.
But he's like coming up with like a fucking flashlight.
Yeah, and he's like pointing it
at
the thing going like, this will do it.
I mean, I'll give him a little bit of a pass because this is all within 5 seconds and he's probably disoriented and the band will not stop playing.
He probably got hit with the fucking metal piece. He probably got domed with it. It was just like,
yeah, I don't know. It's like there's probably an impulse to like move the equipment, but whatever solves this problem is not gonna happen right here.
Yeah, they can't do it. Them not playing is not gonna help this problem at all. So why not just add to it and get the clip? You know what I mean? You know, because no matter what, I'm gonna check this band out. I'm glad I brought it back up because I wanted to see who the band was.
Nah, if I get the band's perspective, on that. But if I'm the owner, I'm just like, my impulse would be like, no, everyone. Even if I lose money, I'm like, everyone get the fuck out.
Yeah. Damn it. Like going up and unplugging like amps and shit. Like, well, you don't see the fucking water. Everybody get the fuck out of here.
You know, it is funny too, where like, it's so funny thinking about the mosh shit.
Yeah.
Whenever like you see a venue that's super shitty about it, and then you see clips like this, and you're like, oh no, I get it. Yeah. Because it's just that's why I appreciate any venue like that is just cool about the moshing and stuff. Because like, let's be perfectly honest. Like I brought it up earlier, like at the fucking Tsunami and Kublai show, yeah. I needed a guy to attend to my fucking cut, and he helped me out and he did all this shit and that. But that's like a whole dude you have to hire just because you got this hardcore band that writes aggressive lyrics and riffs and shit like that. Like with certain hardcore shows. That's why I always say like I'm for like crowd killing is fun, but it's those guys who go out of their way to try to like hurt people and do shit like that. Yeah. There's a difference between being reckless and just participating in targeted assaults. Like, don't do that. Yeah, I get being restless, but the targeted assault, because it's like with the nature of this shit, there's just so much opportunity for bad shit to happen.
It's so funny to watch it when it first happens and everybody just looks at it like, what the fuck?
Because like, what do you fucking do, dude? If I'm working at this venue,
yeah, if I was that security guard, I would just continue to walk backstage and like taking off my pass and just be like, you guys deal with it. I don't fuck you guys. I literally do not get paid for this shit. I don't get paid to get fucking hosed down.
I'm trying to remember for me personally, but have you been at a job where like I've never just seen a thing and go, I'm leaving. I've never been that guy. But I've definitely had certain instances. Where you like look at it and you're like you stare at it for a while because you're just like, I don't want to fucking do any of this.
I remember very clearly. I was living with two friends of mine. I was probably like 18, 19 years old at the time, and it was New Year's Day. And you would think the reason I wanted to quit on New Year's Day was because like the fact that I had partied or something like that. Nope. I woke up in plenty of time. My shift was not unreasonable. But the
Where'd
fact
you work?
was Kmart. So
Oh,
I worked at Kmart, and the last day I had worked, I think it was a Friday, and then Saturday I was off, and then Sunday I had to work or something like that.
okay.
And the Friday it was it was just so it just was just soul killing. I couldn't take it. It was just so it was so mundane, and I don't know what it was about it, but like we had the training videos in the back, which I always loved the training part of it because you get paid to just sit there and watch videos, even though it's
Yeah.
boring. I'm like, I'm getting paid my salary just to fucking sit here. I didn't ever actually think you have to retain the knowledge. You're supposed to be being taught what's going on, but it's all common sense shit. It's very
Yeah.
easy to work at Kmart, in my opinion. So I was tasked with
You say, in my opinion, like people are gonna be like, no,
well,
Patrick, it's actually.
I don't, man. Some of those screens are pretty hard to maneuver. There's
No, I think the challenge of working at because Kmart was like, it was just like a bunch of other like department stores. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Just like it was almost like before. It was an era before like Walmart's and Target where you also like the department store would have a produce section and shit like that, like would have
Yeah.
food.
So
But yeah, there was something uniquely soul sucking about a Kmart. They
yeah,
were sad. They were
was
always
quiet.
sad.
It was always so quiet. I don't know what
That's right. They were.
that's what I think bugged me about it. And I don't think you were allowed to wear headphones or anything. Like it really bugged me. I like
They
warehouse stuff, but like front end, like that stuff, like store setting up shit.
were
I
always
was
so bland and sterile. And I remember this, never had good parking lots. Their parking lots
so
were
shitty,
always like
wonky.
you'd drive through them and go, this was fucked up before the Kmart even got here.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. They just took some land, picked the best part of it to put their store, and that was it. So like so when I was going in, I did the same thing. I pulled in, parked, and I sat there for a little bit. I walked in and I asked if I went to the manager's office,
Okay.
and the manager was off that day. Obviously, it's New Year's Day. They're not going to be there in their office. So then I walked back out of the door, went back into my car, and called the store and asked for whoever was in charge, like whoever was the manager on duty. And they sent me over to him. And I said, hey, my name's Pat, and I was supposed to work there today, and I quit. And he goes,
Really?
all right. And he goes like, it's almost like he had like a list of people there, like, all right, there's another one. And I was like, okay. And like like notated that, and then that was it. I didn't hear anything else from Kmart.
Can I say this? I respect the fucking hell out of your manager because that's a dude who lives in reality. Because this fucking thing with like these shit jobs that will not acknowledge, they have these managers that will not acknowledge that they're a shit job.
Yeah.
Like, bro, I don't know. There's too
I
many
wouldn't be
things.
able to get motivated at that job. I wouldn't be able to get motivated for anything. If they're like, hey, we got to upsell, like, I would just be like, this is sucks.
Yeah, dude, there's just so many of these jobs where they try to get you to have this like fake passion. I would respect them so much more if they were just like, because my manager, the day job I still have, my manager does that shit all the time where he's like, hey, I know no one wants to be here, but we got a job to do and let's just try to get it done. And, the day will go by easier. I respect the fuck out of that. Just the acknowledgement of the reality of the situation. These people you get at like fucking like fast food jobs who try to get you like I remember working at a shitty restaurant and some dude was having a problem and I hear my manager going like, don't worry, buddy, we'll help you out. We're all family here. I go, no, we're not.
No, we're not. I don't know I don't know any of your last names.
If I had a way, I don't know any. That's so funny. Sorry for talking over you. If I had a way to make more money somewhere else, I would be there. Like I have to be here.
Yeah.
So when you get those managers, like I would even respect like even if the dude was like, hey man, I get it. Can you please do this shift and then we'll leave it there? Even something like that, I would respect. I love the acknowledgement of like, I get it.
Yeah. It was like, yeah, it was almost like he was like going around to each department, letting that person know, like, hey, I had this person call out, this person quit. It was New Year's Day. For most people, I'm sure they were hungover. I had a great day and everything. It's just I could not stand to spend another fucking 8 hours. I also walked out of a telemarketing job I had. They told me it was a thrift store I worked at where they would have us call people and say, hey, would you want to donate to the Children's Charity Fund?
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, I didn't really think anything about it. They also said, we don't have really any expectation. You don't have to worry about this week. You're just learning, don't worry about, you don't have any quotas or anything. Just kind of get used to the job and try to get your feet under you. And the second day I was there, they said, you have to get, I think 15 confirmed pickups, and basically saying like, no, there's no more grace period. That's what you have to do. And I remember thinking, what is it? I've never heard of this charity fund. It seemed very vague. So I went in and I was like, you say that this helps children, but I was like, is it with mental disabilities or physical disabilities? What do we? And she goes, yeah. And I was just like, oh, this is horse shit. This is a scam. They're just lying to people so they give us free donations so we can sell it for a profit. It was like taking what the Salvation Army does, but not actually doing any charity with it. So I was like, fuck. So I went out and they had also that day started with them yelling at me for clocking in early. I clocked in 3 minutes early and they said, don't ever do that. I thought I was being ambitious and like being like, hey, I'm a go-getter. But they were like, no, that's time theft.
That shit,
9:00, not 8:57. Like
that shit. I was actually thinking about this. You reminded me of something I was thinking. I forget exactly where I got this idea, but you know what it was? It was actually on the No More Heroes where I was like, I was looking at a bunch of stuff about America, and we sort of have that like hypothesis. America, if we're trying to do big brain conspiracy shit, America feels like where the testing ground, for all the bullshit. And then you just look at, because you just look at, there's so much shit that you just go like, the simpler way to do this is so obvious. You know what I mean? And I think about that a lot of times with jobs where, like, there's just a lot of these jobs that are just so unreasonable. Like, going back to what I was saying earlier, without the acknowledgement of just being like, this sucks ass that we're here. And they're so and it's like that time theft shit drives me up a fucking wall where have you ever been at the job where, have you ever been at the job where you have a little bit of, it'll be like a warehouse job or something. You have to eat lunch in the specific break room or your car.
Yeah.
And you have, it's a little bit of a walk. It's like a 2-minute walk. And then, you do the thing where you go, okay, lunch is at noon. So I'm leaving here a little early. So I get to the break room at noon. I'm not getting to the break room at 12:03. I'm getting there at noon. So I'm stopping my work at 11:57. And then I'm not leaving the lunchroom until 12:30. So I'm going to get back to my workstation at 12:34 or whatever the fuck.
Right.
And then they do the thing where you're like, well, if you leave 3 minutes early and you get back 3 minutes late, that's 6 minutes a day. And then at the end of the week, that's a half hour. And then every month you're stealing 2 hours. And then, by the end of the year, you've stolen 24 hours from the company. And, that ends up being 3 whole days. That's the math, right?
It's pretty, it's something where you're like, okay. You know what I mean? And how about when I say 3 minutes later because you asked me to do this thing off the clock, and it's like one of those things of like, oh, we would never ask you for it's crazy because when it works in their favor, they're all about the rules. But when it's like,
I remember, I realized it. That was the big problem. That's actually, I want to like look more into this and think about it more because I might be a little off base, but I realized that's the problem with looking at work as it's an 8-hour day rather than looking at work going, here's the work we have to do. Yeah. Like, I think a much healthier job environment is going, this is the work that has to be done today, because everyone goes, you know, if you have well, you know, if you have the benefit of a job you like, you could work for fucking 16 hours and it not be a big deal. Like,
Yeah.
think about it. I was thinking about the example of, like, say you're like a fashion designer. Like, dude, if you got into work at like 6 a.m. and you didn't leave till fucking 9 p.m. at night, like, yeah, you had a hard day at work, but you're more focused on, I have to get this job done. So the whole 8-hour concept is like fucking nothing to you. It's the fact that everyone's just working in these like you know, it's the same problem with everything. Sorry, this is No More Heroes for 5 more minutes. It's the same problem with everything being so fucking corporate. Is there's just no personal attachment. I was thinking about it because I was thinking about more. There was a lot of those videos where people will be stealing. It'll just be people will be blatantly stealing from a store and no one does anything about it. And then there's always the people who go, yeah, I'm not putting my life on the line for a fucking CVS, which I agree with. I'm not doing that. But at the same time, you don't want a community where the message out there is it's easy to steal. So I was like, I had those two things because it's like, I'm not losing my life for a fucking CVS, but I also don't want to live into a community where it's easy to, like, it's just understood you can steal from places and shit like that. And I realized it's like this corporatization of the whole fucking world. And, you know, with the corporate work structure and then the, like, just everything around you now, and what I've talked about before, I love my Poison. I love my McDonald's. I love my Burger King and all this shit. But just the corporatization of the whole fucking world creates this like meaningless detachment in people. And why it's like, if I went to a job I actually gave a shit about, I don't give a fuck about 8 hours. I give a fuck about going and doing a good job. And that's the problem.
Getting the job done in whatever time it takes to get the job done.
And that's like the fucking problem is we've I don't want to say allow, because that's really like, it's almost like victim blaming the American people. No one would allow it if they knew it was fucking happening.
Right.
But it's like, in a weird way, it's like you've almost like we've allowed the corporatization of this country. So, you know, people exist more as worker ants than they do as actual people with any substance or attachment to the shit around them.
But this is my theory, and I'll tie it back actually even into music and or comedy. I think that's the thing is like the reason the doing comedy is the fun part of it. And that's the thing that like the work part of it is the travel. That's why bands like will drive, you know, days and days and days.
I didn't get any on me.
I know that's
good. Why I was smiling.
But like people will, you know, bands or comics will travel like that. That's the work part of it is traveling, you know, dealing with weather, with traffic, with fucking sleeping in hotels, being away from your family, from your home for that long, because you love the performing part of it and you love performing in front of people, your audience, people that also enjoy what you do. So like that's the same idea of like I doubt there's anybody that's passionate about working for any fast food chain or CVS or anything like that. So
besides the guy who owns the store.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the only guy, the guy who has the franchise rights. His name's on the fucking lease or something like that. Because it's like, it's a thing that you aren't going to take pride in something that you just are such a small cog in the wheel. You know what I mean? Like, so, but if you're a band, if you're one of 5 people and you're all dedicated to like the passion of playing live or getting your message out, your music out, it's the same idea. And so that's why nobody would tackle somebody at a CVS, and that because strangers, unless you're some kind of vigilante or something like that, you know.
Here, I'll tie it back to bands. Think about it this way. Think about, I'm wearing the shirt Every Time I Die. There's a million guys who can sing and scream as good as Keith. But if Keith leaves Every Time I Die, it's not so like the band that's why the band just needs to break up, because it's not about, because in the corporate structure that is America, it's not about who's doing the job. It's about the job that's getting done. So when you have a much more personalized experience, like a band, like Keith being the lead singer of Every Time I Die is a core component to the, Keith being the lead singer of Every Time I Die is a core component to the structure of Every Time I Die. If you go to a corporate entity, like a McDonald's, The core component of it isn't the cook. It's just that burgers need to get made. But it's,
Right.
it's why, bringing it back to, if we're thinking about food, which I always am, because I haven't eaten yet today. Actually, that's not true. I had Frosted Flakes. You know what I mean? If a TV show with Gordon Ramsay, that's food, but if Gordon Ramsay ain't on the show, it's not the same fucking show. So that's why when you have this much more, it's why, and to keep it on music, it's why bands are so important to people, because it is this like personalized experience. Like Every Time I Die is such a big specific thing that has a lot of these, for me, for you, for everyone listening to them, has these hyper specific emotions attached to it. It's why, a guy like Pitbull is going to make a lot more money than Every Time I Die, but he's not going to have that long-term impact on a personal level. Like a Pitbull fan he's not going to have that long-term emotional effect on them the way a band like Every Time I Die does on people.
Right. Yeah, I think that's a great analogy to say, like a core component. Like if you're just a person who you're a cook at a Chili's, you're a fucking a stocker at fucking CVS, or somebody that works at the register or some shit like that. Like, yeah, you're just not invested. So you don't feel unless you do have that weird kind of like, I'm madder at this church's chicken. They wouldn't be able to make biscuits the way, because I put in that extra effort. And I will tell you, as somebody who has worked in like a service industry job before, like working a drive-through and having like regulars, like cool people, cool customers that appreciate the effort that you give when you do give that effort. Because that's the thing. It doesn't matter what job I work at. I want to be good at it, no matter what it is. So even when
I'm similar in that. Even if I'm at a shitty job, I don't feel good just being like, I'm not gonna break my goddamn back being the best worker in the fucking building, but I don't
give people good service
on a personal level. I don't feel good just being a shithead at that job.
I don't give more to the company. I give more to the customer. Like, that's the thing. It's like, I'll do it probably even at the expense of the company. And that's one of the things is like, to me, the corporation is important but it's also like, you could definitely give a little bit more. You're charging, fucking $18 for fucking 2 lattes. I think you can probably spare a couple extra napkins or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, and that's the thing. If you go to an establishment and you get good service, it doesn't mean that those people are there. They just have to be invested when they're there. That's the thing, is that's all you have to do to bring up that kind of expectations. But I just don't, I think people think less like us more and more every day, Andy. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's kind of like one of those things of like, truly now only the people, everybody will want to be a musician or want to do that, but they aren't willing to put in the work of renting a fucking U-Haul, getting a van, piling in the van, driving fucking hours and hours to the next place, driving hours and hours to the next place.
Well, I think the problem is people have a skewed perception on what being fulfilled is. So if you look at the band, I was thinking about it when you were saying about driving for comedy. Like, I was thinking about, I did a show in New Hampshire, which if I was going to do a thing I didn't want to do, a whole trip to New Hampshire, I'd be like, oh my God, how do I get out of this?
Yeah.
Like, if it was something for my job, if it was something for my day job and they're trying to get me to go to New Hampshire, and I go, well, is it going to be fun? Probably won't be fun. It'll probably be fucking boring.
Be there.
How do I get oh my God, this is going to suck ass. But then when I did the show in New Hampshire, it was at this like libertarian festival. I was going with Robbie Bernstein and BK Chris, 2 dudes I love to hang out with. We went up there, we were in nature, we got fucked up, had a great fucking night and shit like that. You know what I mean? So, and also I'm a comedian. I'm trying to do things to, broaden progress my career. I'm trying to get into libertarian shit. Robbie goes, do you want to perform at the Libertarian Festival? It's not even a fucking thing. And then we it's a long drive. Excuse me. Sorry. Drag the Lake starts at 1:30 and I got a few brews in the kitchen. We're drinking some. Shut the fuck up. That will not be a joke on a second podcast I have.
Andy, you're not supposed to have sleep apnea while you're awake.
get fucked on that perfect joke. God damn it. It was the bubbles from the beer. It was not the sleep.
I do it too.
Yeah, you got to go for the funny joke though. I completely get it. Funny joke over all. Jokes overall, dude.
Jokes overall. Overall.
For
Jokes
real though,
overall.
I'll risk a friendship over for a good joke. But I don't even know. Who cares? No. Oh, that was the
libertarian thing. Yeah.
But no, yeah, just because it was going to be a fun time, it might help my career. All those things happening at the same time, it was like not even a thought, and it was much more enjoyable of an experience than it would be if I was going to do something that sucked ass. So
yeah,
I think because I think about this a lot. Where if I didn't, because I was talking to Steph about this, where I said it before. I've grown up like middle to upper middle class in that general area. I was provided for. I did not want for anything. So I had a comfortable life, but like my whole thing is I could probably count on one hand the attaboys that I got from my dad and shit like that. So that then created, and I'm not saying this for sympathy, I'm just explaining where this fucking monster came from. That created a person in me. That created a person who goes out into the world seeking attaboys. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which drew me more to comedy and entertainment and shit like that. And then like I didn't realize this honestly till recently, where I started to like really like work on myself and figure out like, why am I a fucking menace mentally? And I learned that about myself. So now I'm a more well-adjusted. It was a weird realization in life because I'm a more well-adjusted adult that doesn't need the attaboys in the same way. And it made me like sort of perceive comedy and all this shit differently. But you kind of look at that and you go, and that's why I think it's like, it's so bad. We talked about this earlier. It's so on No More Heroes, but it's so bad to like demonize normal people and just working a quote unquote normal life.
Yeah.
Because it's like I also too, I hate it when I hear comics do it. Cause I go, yo, do you guys like your fucking fake job? Yeah. You know how your fake job happens is if a bunch of normal people do their bullshit jobs so they can make money and give you fucking money to go do your fucking pretend job. Right. So I don't know. I'm not sucking off every like normal person, but I also too actively don't try to demonize normal people because it's like you need normal people for the world to go around. And also, who the fuck are you? Just because you spent time fucking learning one specific thing, you're now better than a guy who busts his ass on whatever, driving a truck or in the oil field or doing any of that shit.
Right.
Yeah, I went on a rant. I forget where I got it.
Who do you think's gonna come fix that goddamn sprinkler head?
Yeah, yeah, dude.
That's a fucking artist. You know what I'm saying?
That's fucking full circle. But where was I going with that? Holy shit.
AIDS.
AIDS. I have AIDS now. I work really hard to get AIDS.
With AIDS.
Yeah, no. I was saying about so I think about that where I think about I think about that like demonization of normal life, and everyone needs to be like a fucking special unique snowflake doing something in entertainment. And it always makes me wonder. I'm like, dude, I'm so fascinated with myself and the fact that like what would have happened if I was emotionally well adjusted and didn't, because I'll be the first one to admit this whole thing is purely, it's not so much now, but it's purely rooted in a huge need for outward acceptance from other people, because I didn't get it from daddy.
You could be heard.
I'm in a much different spot now, but over the past couple years of just on this journey of like, why the fuck am I so mad all the time?
I think that's what keeps you driving to like because I've done hours and hours and hours of driving for no money to do comedy. No real, like, it wasn't necessarily a great set or anything like that, but it was experience. It was experience. It was experience in general. But like, I think at that time, the thing that really fuels those hours of driving and that all those rejections and everything like that is that seeking that of acceptance and stuff like that. I think we're at a point now where we're like, hey, we've put in all of this work. Now we need to learn how to monetize this shit.
That's where,
and
yes,
turn it into a career. Like it's because it's like a
that's
thing of
where
like,
I am. I don't need validation. I need money.
this is the only skill I have. Like literally, I
It's the
don't
only
have a
thing I know how to
trade.
do,
I don't
dude.
have anything else. I spent all those years yearning for acceptance that I accidentally garnered this fucking skill, and
It's
I'm
the only
really
thing I
good
got
at
good
it.
at.
Right. It's literally, I told Dom, I said, the only thing I'm good at is talking to people and at people. That's it. That's all I can do. And it's like one of those things that like, it's not that I'm not capable. I'm an adequate dishwasher. I'd probably make a pretty good line cook.
Dude, we would body, dude. If you and me worked at like a Denny's,
right.
we'd body the kitchen.
And it's so funny that it's how the further away that we have gotten away from that, the more we now yearn for just going like, man, I'd love to fucking clock in, get bitched at a little bit for some time theft and wash some dishes.
Well, there is some
like, if that's the worst part of it, because you know you have the power to say, fuck you, I'm gonna leave. They don't control you like they used to. Now that I have comic brain, I feel way more. It's almost like how like if you ever think about the first person you've had sex with, what was his name again?
Wait, what the hell are you getting at?
I just fucking roasted you. That's why you're so red.
What the shit?
Now
I'm gonna intentionally pour beer on my shirt.
Now I need to pour this to fucking extinguish that burn. I think about the first person I have sex with, and you go like, man, I am so much better and more knowledgeable at everything.
Yeah, and you're like, I wish I could have sex with them again at that age.
Luckily, they were all. I did not start having sex until I was deep into my teens, so I think I'm still okay. Actually, Andy.
Well, let's look up the state, and then we'll
yeah. Where are we doing this? Hypothetically, let's just say no.
Wait, what age did you have sex at?
I think 16.
Oh, okay. Then what age was the second time at?
Like probably like 17 or 18. like it wasn't a lot. And then like again, Dom,
because I had
no
I had sex for the first time at 16, and then a bunch more times with that same girl. Yeah, and then I didn't again until a little bit into my first year of college.
Oh wow.
It was funny. I had a weird start to sex because the second girl I had sex with, I became very good friends with throughout high school. And then we were kind of like, I forget how it started, but we were like hanging out because she had just broken up with her boyfriend from high school, and we were hanging out in college and just kind of like and I forget, I don't even think it was like at a party or anything. I think we were just chilling in the dorm or something, and it ended up happening. And then I remember it hit a point where I was like, I had built up too much of a genuine friendship with her. I remember it felt weird. I was like, I'm fucking my buddy.
Yeah.
I remember it was really funny. It was one of the two times I broke it off with a girl, and I watched a girl like look bummed she couldn't fuck me. I was like,
oh wow.
What are you bummed about? Who cares?
Are you an idiot?
And then I remember I tried to get back with her. And she was like, "Nah, you lost it."
That was the right decision.
Yeah, and then she married a jacked redhead, so she upgraded.
Well, Andy, you never know. But that's the
thing. You never know. I could get her back.
Yeah, you can still try. No, there's a thing where there's that kind of thing of like you want to go back and actually say like I would handle high school completely different. I would handle like jobs and stuff like that. I can handle that shit so much easier now because you don't have to deal with customers. You can go to, if you're working in a kitchen or a warehouse or a fucking any of that stuff, it's so much more manageable now. But I can't because I would end up in HR every day because of the way I fucking just naturally think and talk now.
I think about it.
Be a fucking artist.
I think about it so I have this weird balance in my head where there's part of me that goes like, there's that part of you that goes like, damn, it would be so chill to have a normal life. It would like, I love all this comedy shit, but it's hectic and it's very mentally stressful.
Yeah.
But then you look back and you're like, but then I know if I would have just stayed on the path of the normal life, I would constantly like be thinking about like you could have gone for it and you didn't fucking so it would I would be on a different level of like tormenting myself and calling myself a pussy for different reasons.
My thing is because it's, and I think the reason I yearn for the dishwashing job is because it makes so much more sense to me. I don't know I'm not at a point in comedy where I'm confident in my abilities, but I'm not confident in my spreadsheet. I can't.
Yeah, you're like, how the fuck do I do this?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I know how to do it. I know how to do the performing part of it well. Now I just have to. So that's the same idea. I think is the yearning for like the dishwashing and stuff like that is because it's so much easier. You go start in the dish pit, then you get a line kick job, then you get on the fucking grill, then you get like that, but then you get to a manager position and it's not fun again. Then you have too much responsibility. Then you got to go, I'm going to quit and I'm going to Red Lobster. And then you're going to do it all over again. You
realize Red Lobster is bankrupt.
And then you're like, fuck. It's probably because I've been eating all those Cheddar Bay biscuits. But I think there's just an issue with like it's just confidence and the comfortable nature where people who strive to be accepted and comfortable, and in that striving of it, like we've got this ability now, but we don't know how to transition to the next part of it.
Dude, it's so flawless. My God. Yeah, my big takeaway from just growing up and maturing is like we really, really, really got to stop demonizing the quote unquote normal people.
Yeah,
because like I said before, you can't have your, I don't know, you can't have your like fucking pretend bullshit jobs without normal people making sure we have a solid infrastructure.
And also, normal people aren't like they're just people that either don't have that skill or ability or didn't seek it out. Like literally that's all it is. They're not.
Yeah.
No, they're Andy. If I learned anything by my experience going to shows, talking to people, any of that stuff, that doesn't count.
You're right. It's a not a.
We need a can. We not just aluminum. We need.
You're right.
But it's the fact of like it's how like you're most of the time, like it's not necessarily like yes the art or whatever it is the job, but it is something that you truly do love doing, and but it's still like you still realize like they're just a person that drives a car that likes fucking maybe you like chicken tacos instead of beef tacos. Maybe you're just people.
Yeah,
they're just people.
And I think there should be more of appreciation.
Not all celebrities, you know what I mean?
There should also be like more of an appreciation for the people who fuck with your shit. And I'm not even trying to like suck them off. Like we had the, like I was saying about it on No More Heroes, we had the panties episode that just came out with the bad audio, and there was like one or two people getting a little extra, and it's like, all right, guys, we've all heard a podcast. It's a free podcast with one bad audio episode.
Okay, it's not the paid one.
But also at the same time, we should also make sure that doesn't happen that often. You know, as a respect, because like I know I don't know, maybe it might just be personal preference or whatever, or maybe I've just been I've had a normal guy job for way longer than a lot of other comedians. But I gotta be honest, like I like a lot of stuff about doing this shit, but the one that really gets me, I was talking to Steph about this the other day. The one that gets me is like I've had someone, and I almost don't want to say this because I don't want to muddy up the fucking compliment pool. But I'll just be straight up. Definitely, if you're hearing this, do not tell me this if you don't mean it. I want it to be earnest and honest and shit. But dude, when someone hits me up and they're like, "Yo, bro, you helped me get through the day," I go, an honor. Yeah. It's a fucking honor. Like if you're at the shitty job, but me and my buds make your hour go by a little bit quicker, like I salute you, officer.
Because I do that. Because I like, that's the thing is I on a drive or something like that, I like listening to a podcast or like something like or when I'm like organizing shit or doing like going over bills, or like it's that kind of like background noise or that entertainment, that thing that helps to entertain you throughout
Yeah.
the day or whatever, or like you said, a distraction, even if it is just a distraction, because I've been there. I started listening to podcasts like way early on in Florida when I was like probably 2000, I don't even know, like maybe like 2004 or something like that. 2006. Does that sound
Okay.
right? I don't know. But it's like one of those things where like early, where like there were like a handful of them, and a lot of them had really shitty audio, especially early on. There's a lot of really shitty audio. Even at that point, I never even thought of like, oh, I would do a podcast or I could do this. But I basically learned how to pursue comedy, like a true passion of mine, by listening to podcasts, because they kind of taught that stuff. And I learned it by driving a fucking truck like countless hours every day, crazy overtime, lots of fucking late nights and stuff like that. And that shit, those long ass fucking Rogans got me through a lot of fucking work. It helps. Like if anytime, like you said, genuinely, if one or two people are like, hell yeah, work is gonna I think somebody made a post or a comment like that was like, oh shit,
Work is gonna suck less.
and you're like,
Yeah, it was on
fuck
the
yeah, dude. Hell,
it was on the every time
that's what we can do.
it
Perfect.
was on the every time I die reaction. Someone said one of the last every time I die reaction, someone was like, dude, I remember working in I worked in this fucking warehouse, and I was on like an assembly line, and I was just we were packaging fucking like dimmer switches.
Yeah.
Shout out Lutron. Good company. They've given my dad money for a lot of years, so I'm not even shitting on them. They fucking rule. But no, I remember I was working the summer job, and I was packaging dimmer switches, and I was working on the assembly line, and basically there was different parts of the assembly line where you would essentially just do one thing over and over again. So on the one thing I do is like clamshells would come by, and I would put 2 switches in the clamshells. Or clamshells would come by, and I would pop direct, like the like anything you get, there's a little piece of paper with directions or shit on it. I'd pop those in it. And on top of that, I was like the one white dude around a bunch of older Spanish women who, they were like some, hardworking right off the boat motherfuckers, but they didn't speak English. So I had no one to talk to. Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And dude, I remember just aggressively realizing I could not understand Spanish because I was trying to based off context clues and inflection in their voice. I remember trying to figure out what they were talking about, and I'm like, I think they're talking about people getting murdered or something. And then the lady turns to me and she goes, her son just got into college, and I'm like, I do not know Spanish.
Okay.
I don't know. Hey, mommy. But no, and I remember that. So that's when I remember that job ended up being bad for me because it would just be hours of me sitting, being super in my own head and shit like that.
Yeah.
And I remember they moved me to one department, and I was very isolated. And I remember I was able to, you feed the headphone up your shirt and you pop it into one ear, and you sit in the corner so people can't see your left ear, and you do it that type of way. And just being able to listen to like some comedy podcasts changed the experience from abysmal to I can do this shit. Yeah. So it's like, also too, at the same time, as much as we go, I want to give more props to the normal people than fucking us. We're just talking shit all day. But also at the same time, it is something magical. I sound like a fucking dork. It's just nice. It's nice to be like, oh shit, did I just help out your day go from fucking ass to grass? I don't know. To like just be
a little less ass, you know what I mean?
Be less ass. So there is something nice about that. There is something nice about what the podcast can fucking do and shit like that. But yeah, I don't know how we got on this. I just
shitting on normal people.
I got you know what it is. I know why my head's in this headspace, because I was watching a bunch of videos on like Andrew Carnegie. Who's the dude who did the railroads? Fucking Rothschilds. They were oil. Carnegie was railroads. Rothschilds were oil. And then Rothschilds were banks.
I think the Chinese did the railroads.
Well, they were hired to do the railroads.
Forced?
Was it Japanese?
I'm not finished.
I think the Japanese did the railroads, but
Dirty deeds. Look at
Rothschild.
these.
No, they were that's right. There was a big government program to PP and Cokes. That's what they were.
No. That was a big joke.
Everyone, you're welcome.
You're welcome. That was fun. That was cute racism. That was racism you can take home to grandma and she go, make it hard ours. No, I think
but I was watching a bunch of wait, what are the fucking names?
I don't know.
I'm trying to remember the railroad one.
Reading Railroad, Pennsylvania, something like that, right? And there, Pennsylvania Avenue. That's an avenue. Reading Railroad. I don't know the other ones. These are surprise burps hitting me. I'm getting sniped with burps today. Farwild says something in the chat there.
Oh yeah, what Farwild said?
I've been out of work since March 11th, last year, getting hip surgery. Oh yeah, and recovering, doing lots of PT. I'm assuming that's Panther therapy.
What
is it? Panther therapy? What's PT? Yeah.
Physical therapy.
That would be an F, Andy. Come on, don't be an idiot. Drag the Lake has seriously kept me in. Why am I? I'm reading the wrong one. I should reread this one. Keep me sane. Well, I was reading it in the chat. And I'm like, what the fuck is he saying? Keep me sane while I've been stuck at home. Thanks, bros. Hell yeah. Well, then we should.
I appreciate that. I'm not trying to fish for compliments, no. But I do appreciate the genuine nature of that.
And boy, do we have some tales today.
Yeah, we do have some tales. We really should move into. It's bugging the fucking shit out of me.
What are you trying to find?
The billionaire's name.
Really? Like, there's like, isn't there like
Rockefeller? Shut up, Rockefeller. That's who it was. The Rockefeller.
Shut the fuck up about your goddamn hip. It was Rockefeller.
It was Rockefeller. Farwild.
File.
Pedophile. All right, dude. I'm getting the fuck out.
It's just me today. Hey, just me and you, Farwild.
God damn it. I'm getting roasted on 2 podcasts for the same thing. No, Rockefeller. He did a bunch of the oil shit. Andrew Carnegie did the railroads. And no, but I was just reading. It was just like I've been on a really anti-billionaire kick after watching these videos. Yeah. Just because I used to just be like, just because they have more money, I don't inherently hate them. But then you read about how, especially specifically like the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds and Carnegie and shit, they the way that they sort of bolstered their wealth, they were like especially with Rockefeller, a couple times he's like, all right, I'm gonna try these strategies to fucking price out the competition and do all this shit. And he tried to do it like competitively a couple times, and he's like, this doesn't fucking work. And then he's like, I'm just gonna pay off a bunch of fucking Weasley fucks in the government, so I'm gonna have a unfair advantage. And you're like, you're all just a bunch, it's like you're all just a bunch of fucking pussies. Yeah. And it just I don't know. I've just been very anti-billionaire and corporation lately after watching a lot of these videos. Because I go, you're not like, none of you guys are fucking special. You figured out how to be bigger weasels than everyone else. You fucking cunts.
Ponzi schemes that worked out until you turned it into a legitimate business.
No, it's not. It's not Ponzi schemes. It's like fucking just flat out
Ponzi schemes with the thumbs.
But I'm not saying A. I'm saying
I'm saying oh no.
All right, let's this isn't no more. Oh. This isn't No More Heroes. Let's talk about a little bit more music. Oh, this was the one I wanted to show you because hopefully we're gonna say over the top outrageous shit.
I'm ready.
No, but this one made me laugh and made me think of you so this is a 2-parter. So stick with me.
Got it.
I see. So we've made fun of this. Just why does anyone just publicly talk about the Beatles? We've already figured it out. It's so boring to me. Right. But this person, like, what an NPC of a human being. For people listening to audio, they post this thing, goes, what is the most iconic photo in rock and roll history, in your opinion? And this lady, Amy, goes, there are plenty of other contenders out there. I want to hear some of your opinions. My opinion is Abbey Road. And you're like, what a just voidless fucking nothing entity that person is. Of just like, that's the one you go with. Abbey Road, the most famous picture in music.
Do you remember those 4 celebrities walking across the road? That was really cool. And one of them was barefoot and stuff. Pff, wow.
And we found out they're probably all bad people to a degree.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much to some one extent or the other. You know, I'm not saying it's adrenochrome or anything.
John Lennon took, well, no, they were just old school bad people, but I think John Lennon was the big one who took the cake because he was like, he was such a fake hippie. With a lot of hippies were fake people too, where they would act all cheery and flower child and shit, and it was just be like, no, you're the same dickheads everyone else with. Like John Lennon's just not raising his kid and punching women.
He shot at Chapman first, actually. That was a defensive he shot first at Chapman, but missed. He dodged it, and he was just defending himself. Like he took the bag rap there. I mean,
Chapman was just standing his ground.
Yeah, that's all it was. He went up. He's like, "Hey, can I get out?" He's like, "Oh, get out of here, mate!" And he's like, "Whoa!" And then he took his gun out.
I gotta go play this song and say the N-word a bunch.
Big conspiracy. Yeah, he's like, I gotta go meet Chuck Berry and try not to drop a hard R.
Did you see he had that famous song where he goes, "Women are the N-word of the world," and then you never heard of this?
No, I've never heard that. I did hear that he was.
I'm not gonna.
May have been a physical abuser.
Yeah, no. He had a song where the title of the song is "Women Are the N-Word of the World."
That's the title?
Dude, I'm not kidding.
What the fuck? That lady's racist, the Abbey Road lady. That's my take on that. You know what's best about Abbey Road? Those white lines on the road. That's my favorite.
Yeah,
I just wish those fucking Brits weren't walking on it.
Yeah, I don't want to bring it up, but just everyone on their own.
Bring it up. Oh yeah,
I don't want to bring it up.
I don't know why I was waiting for you to bring up the hard R on YouTube.
Just go into Google and type John Lennon "Women is the N" and it'll finish the rest for you.
Women is or women are?
Women is.
That feels even more racist. Women is. It's not doing it. Women by John Lennon.
Just go type John Lennon "Women is the N."
Should I play it?
No. No.
Oops, I am. Oops, I am. Oops, I am.
Please.
Okay,
yeah,
I think they changed the name to just woman now. Which is crazy.
There's a great video on YouTube of him doing an interview, and they're kind of being like, "Hey, why'd you call it that?" And he's like, "No, I asked." Wait, I can't do the accent right. Wait, how do I get into the British accent?
Crikey.
Hello, crikey, governor.
No,
but he was basically like, he's like, I asked all my black friends and they thought it was okay. And you're like, I'm sure they did, John. I'm sure they did.
But he's like winked at the camera because he's like, I don't have any black friends.
I don't actually have any. I lied to you.
You get that, Captain Kangaroo, right?
But no, this one made me laugh. This one made me laugh too because it was just so someone responded to that. It's just like I love out of touch punk rock and hardcore fans.
Oh, this is fun.
Well, this is what Twitter's beautiful because it really just encourages you to like just say your opinion, and then it's people who because I've got with this a lot of times. I remember perfect example. I used to be in this like political Facebook group because it was like a bunch of libertarian shit. And I remember before he went extra crazy, I would pop in. You know that dude Owen Benjamin?
Oh yeah.
Honestly, I'll even give him. I don't even think the dude. I'll be straight up. I don't even think the dude's that crazy. I think he's just a little insecure because he's not in the cool kids club anymore, and he lashes out often and acts a fool.
Quite a bit, yeah.
But regardless, I used to fuck with his podcast and shit, and I remember he would always make this reference where he would be like making fun of liberals, saying like, "Oh, you taking underwater basket weaving classes?" Like that would be a thing. And I remember watching thing with Donald Trump Jr. talking about it, and he made the same reference. And I remember going into this political Facebook group being like, yo, do you think Donald Trump Jr. is listening to Owen Benjamin? That would be crazy. And it was just a bunch of people being like, that's actually like a commonly used thing. You're stupid.
Yeah.
Like, you just get fucking pounced on. So I've been the victim of this, but it is funny when you see people discovering things like they're like, I'm the first to ever figure this out.
Yeah.
And then so I saw this as a response to the Beatles thing, and this just made me laugh very hard. Where they post, so we got the Minor Threat cover, and says no one ever thinks outside the classic rock box, being like, no one ever thinks of this Minor Threat cover. And I'm like, no, you know who thinks of it? Fucking everyone, because it's like a classic cover. Everyone's used it 1,000 fucking times.
Yeah. I think there's somebody that just like recreated that at that with Ian there. I don't know if it was the band again or if it was another band was like visiting with him or something like that, but they recreated that picture there.
Yeah, and they made a point. They're like, make sure you get your stupid fucking hat.
Yeah.
As a throwback for anyone who's been listening the whole time.
But there is literally like I can't pinpoint one most iconic thing or anything like that, but those lists, I get so frustrated with it. But like you were saying, like oh duh, nobody ever thought of that kind of thing. Like I always try to avoid that just instinctually because but like I saw a post like this once and I just wanted to, because I wanted to fuck with them a little bit or whatever, and it was name your least favorite comedian or something like that, or who is a comedian you can't stand or you can stand the least or you hate the most, whatever it was. And I went through it just to double check and made sure nobody made this joke, but I went through all of like a ton of comments, and it was, by the way, a lot of people going, my least favorite comedian is Joe Biden. And I was like, boy, oh boy, that's fucking lame.
Oof, that sucked. Can you imagine getting
a lot of people did that? A lot of people.
Can you imagine getting there as a person?
Nobody made the joke I made. I simply tagged Pat George. So it says Pat George, and under it in blue it says Pat George. I was like, I'm the only one that's actually tagging the comic. And by the way, I'm my least favorite comic.
You're like, I actually hate myself.
It actually got a lot of good laughter reacts. I like that. But a lot of Joe Biden's and a lot of like my least favorite is Nancy Pelosi. That clown sucks.
Well, that's just a result of the way we've sort of categorized politics in everyone's head is, rather than like, and I'm gonna sound cliche as hell for a couple words, so bear with me, but we've categorized as a nation, you know,
what the fuck?
What?
He said just to bear with you, and I was like, hey, I'll bear with you, but you better watch out. You're on thin ice, counselor.
I don't get the joke.
You're on thin ice, counselor. If you said you were gonna say some cliche shit.
Oh.
If I find out you're an industry plane, I'm gonna kill you. Hypothetically, just joking, YouTube.
Hypothetically.
Just joking.
Allegedly, as I wave a knife. But no, sorry, my legs are cold. I'm putting pants on.
Jesus Christ, Andy!
Shut the fuck up.
Andy's done multiple costume changes during these episodes that we've done today.
Well, it was hot earlier. Now it's not hot.
Now it's cold.
Shut the fuck up,
you woman.
Oh my god,
fucking woman.
Oh my god. I'm being attacked. Someone come save me.
I'm sorry, Andy. Go
anyway,
go ahead with the point that I interrupted 400 times already. I apologize.
What was the fucking point?
You were going to say something about
politics. All right, shut up. No, I was gonna say, like, it's the nature of, and this all clearly happened when, you know, Trump started winning. Winning. But no, Trump started winning, and people were like, "Oh shit, you can like fucking do this away outside of the fucking Matrix and shit like that." Oh fuck, and then they like whatever entity it was geared up and started making, you know, politics a much more just, I don't know, just a bigger scandalous fucking thing than it was sort of in a lot of Americans' lives. And now it's turned into, and this is the cliched part, it's turned into like a TV show, like a WWE thing. And it's always been like that, but it definitely got, after Trump, it got ratcheted up. And people, it sort of misconstrued people's perception of it, where, those people commenting Joe Biden is my favorite comedian, they're not people who are like, oh, I care about this because of the safety of the country and making things better. It's a team thing. It's not about making the country better. I'm anti Joe Biden. When the proper way to look at all this shit is, these are people doing a job. Are they doing the job right? It's like, I don't care about what team I'm on. You're the president. Are you doing president shit right? You're the secretary of transportation or safety or whatever the fuck they're called. Are you doing that right?
Transportation or safety or whatever.
You're the secretary of not being a fucking loser. Are you a fucking cool dude or not?
Do you fucking party? God damn.
Can you fucking kickflip?
Come on. Do you have a fucking finger? What is it? The fingerboards? You got one?
Do you tech deck?
Yeah, tech deck. That's a god damn it. That's how you know I'm not cool.
I almost bought a fucking. Sorry, I'm all over the place today. This is a terrible episode of Drag the League. I apologize, everyone.
Not yet.
Nah, but I was grocery shopping yesterday and I went into the Wayback Machine and I almost bought an issue of Thrasher. I didn't even skate like that, but Thrasher ruled.
I almost got talked into buying a Switch recently. I don't even like. I went from
you should have.
I probably should.
It's a good device.
I think it is. It literally is. It sounds like exactly what I need. Because you know what, Andy?
It's real nice
stuff on self-care. And I think video games are self-care.
Switches are also, they're very nice for traveling.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to
say. You can't read yet, right? You haven't learned how to read yet. Yeah. So you want the Switch.
And for people listening, I shook my head no.
For people
that's why you got so good with talking. I can't do the reading, but I can do the comprehension and discussion.
It's just all I do is comprehend and discuss. I don't
never read.
It's so fucking funny, dude. All right, a little bit more music. You sent this to me, dude. You want to help me out real quick and suck off Furnace Fest?
I would. Oh my god, dude! I have to go to this. I really. I'm very motivated to I don't know how I can do this because when we'll get into like the date and everything, like when it is, but like it is going to be. I want to go to every single day.
Well, let's show the people. You sent me this. Shout out Unearth is a band you're a big fan of, Patrick. And you sent okay, buddy. All right.
Sorry.
But dude, you sent me this lineup and I was looking through it and I just go, dude, every day I want to see the majority of, like, maybe not the majority of, but like every day there's gonna be an experience that will be very fulfilling. So let's start like Friday. August Burns Red. We've seen them before, but we know enough to know that's a good fucking show.
It's a great show. I love August. I've seen them multiple times, and I love those motherfuckers.
Yeah, and another band, I haven't listened to them a lot, but they're a classic hardcore band. I would love to go see Bane. That's just.
I have never seen them, and that was on my bucket list, kind of too. Yeah.
Yeah. What do we? Devil Wears Prada. That and also that part of it. It's just like, I was saying this before a while ago on one of these episodes where there's always like bands that don't necessarily pair up well. They're not necessarily like sonically the same sound, but if you like one, you're going to like the other. So like on a bigger level back in the day when they were more popular, like if you were a Red Hot Chili Peppers fan, you'd probably also fuck hard with the Beastie Boys. Now, that's not hard to do. Everyone fucks with the Beastie Boys. But what I'm trying to say is if you put the Chili Peppers and the Beastie Boys on the same bill, it would make sense together. They're not the same band, but it would make sense together.
Yeah, the same fan base and everything like that. You have the same kind of appeal to multiple people. Like that's like this festival. I'm just looking at it. I think there's a couple. God damn, hold on. So.
Dude. And they're like, let's just
Reggie and the Full Effect also is Reggie and the Full Effect is a nice curveball band in there that I'm like, that is like.
Well, here, let's stay on Friday real quick. Because like, dude, if you just go through it, like, I don't know if you've heard 156 Silence. They're very good. Better Lovers, hell yeah. Bleeding Through, fuck yeah. Bury Your
man.
Dead. I don't listen to them a lot, but here's the thing. So you get bands like, I want to see Better Lovers. I want to see Dying Wish again. I would love to see Haste the Day. I'd love to see He Is Legend 2, I Am Hollywood, and The Seduction, Then Walk Away. I want to see, I would like to see Oh Sleeper, even though I haven't listened to them a lot, but I know I would like them. And then on the other hand, there's a band like, I haven't listened to Bury Your Dead a lot, but I know enough to know that would be a fun show to experience.
Oh yeah.
And you know what the best part is too? I think all of this is on one stage.
Oh really?
I think there might be a small side stage, but I think
maybe two. Maybe it's like back like two like side by side in the same like vent, like the same general area. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's probably something like that because you got to have a little bit of. This is a lot of bands, even half-hour sets.
Yeah,
it's long days, and I'm assuming some kind of camping. I forget again. Where is this again?
Alabama. Yo, speaking of so you were saying about the half-hour sets and like the different stages and shit. I was watching this video. So the biggest annoying thing when you go to these shows is, the band plays, you're all hyped, and now you just have to wait 20 minutes while they tear down and reset up.
Yeah.
I was watching a video for Sick New World, and it was one of those, we're going to put this in a parking lot on a hot fucking day in Vegas. I'm sure the concerts, lots of parts of it sucked ass, but a lot of it was very good. The dude's video I was watching, access to the concessions and shit like that, very easy. It was very quick, which I think is important when you're in the hot air and it's quick. You need it to be quick to get a beer so you can get dehydrated quicker. But one thing that they were implementing that I thought was very cool is they had a rotating stage. So a band would finish up, and rather than waiting for fucking 20 minutes while they tore down and set up, the stage and within at most 5 minutes, the next band's playing. If that, it would probably be more like 2 or 3 minutes, and you got the next band playing. And I love shit like that. They had that kind of at Warped Tour when I would go see them. They would basically do they would have like 6 to 8 stages, but every 4 or 6 of the stages, they would both be next to each other. And then once one band would finish, the next band would start up and shit like that. So just having that ability to keep it moving is very nice. What are you laughing at me about?
I farted.
Oh, okay. I was like, what did I say?
No, I farted. So yeah, I think that's a great idea. So yeah, rotating stage might be, then that would make sense.
I wanted to give a shout out to Sick New World.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's a great idea too.
But let's look at let's look at Saturday. So we got Coheed, which, they are cowards. They didn't take Dance Gavin. No, I'm just kidding.
Fucking pussies.
This is pretty cool. They got Stretch Armstrong. I haven't thought about them in years.
Yeah, I feel like there's a couple bands in here that are like, oh man, I feel like they're either like they've been in like the general the general area of bands I've seen or something like that, but I've never actually got to see them live or something like that. So Snapcase is one of those bands that I don't think I ever got to see live, but Slick Shoes, surprisingly, is a band that I have seen live. And that is so interesting because I had no idea they were still around.
Well, this is the benefit of these hardcore and punk rock and shit festivals getting more popular. It was like when we watched that Descendants documentary. Now the Descendants don't really tour like that anymore, but what they do is they have they'll do the festival circuit. So you may not be able to go see Descendants at a Descendants show, but if you go to the festivals, you got like whatever it may be, like 8 or 9 chances to see them every year. And that's what I think it is. Because I was listening to this interesting interview. Shout out Hardlore. They had the lead singer of Incendiary on, and I didn't realize this, but in the hardcore scene, you have a plethora of bands who like definitely do the hard touring where they're going out for months on end and this and that. But you have a lot of bands like Incendiary who they're normal dudes with regular jobs and they still tour pretty regularly. But rather than doing the long tour, they do these one-off shows. They'll do a lot of the festivals and they'll do a lot of these like one-off shows. And the guy was saying, he's like, it actually makes for better shows from his experience, it makes for better shows because you get your shows become a more special event. You know, it's like I have to go see Incendiary now, or I might not be able to see them for 3 more years or some shit like that. It becomes a much more special event. So that's what I love about these festivals is you get these bands who are like, all right, we might not be able to tour regularly, but we can do fucking Furnace Fest and have a good time there. And we can do what was it? FYE? No. I always forget the fucking other ones, but you guys know what I'm saying. So definitely I love the festival circuit coming up every summer.
Yeah, and especially when they're going to pack it like this is crazy. Like the closing out the second day, which is crazy. Also, another band on here that I was really surprised, Five Iron Frenzy is another band that I saw.
I'm glad you brought that up.
First Warped Tour ever was the first band I ever saw was Five Iron Frenzy.
Bro, I saw them in high school at a fucking church down the street from my house.
Fucking weird. What the fuck are they doing? And Catch 22 is there too. Yeah.
Yeah, but
it's crazy. Like, why are these fucking ska? You know who I would have loved to see on this lineup would be Link 80. Dude, fucking Link 80 as far as early ska in my life.
Did we talk about them before?
I bring them up all the time, and you're always like, and trust me, if you haven't listened to Link 80, check the fuck out Link 80 because
Are they that band that's not actually on Spotify?
Oh, maybe that might have been why you couldn't listen to them. But they were
I'm wrong. They're on Spotify.
But also like Shai Hulud was another band that kind of slipped through my fingers.
Oh, yeah.
Who else? Oh, also
sorry. One. I just wanted to jump on your Five Iron Frenzy mention where I like that a lot too because it like once again it creates more of a variety so it doesn't have to just be a hardcore festival and shit like that. But also at the same time, there's a lot of people like us who want to go see a lot of these bands, and then we see, oh shit, Five Iron Frenzy's there.
Fuck yeah! And it's like one of those things of like, I'll fucking hop over there. You know what I mean? Oh,
that would be. I would love that.
80. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
But closing out the second day is fucking crazy. Seosin, Poison the Well, the fucking Bled, which I love the Bled, and they put on a great show. And then Coheed and Cambria. That's fucking crazy. That's your Saturday, and that's just skimming the surface. There's so many bands in here that at this point I would probably feel confident checking out any of the bands on the lineup and enjoying myself.
Well,
because it seems like such like-minded things. And then when you throw a Catch 22, a Link 8 or a Link 80, Five Iron Frenzy or something like that in there, you're like, yeah, I fuck with them too. Yeah.
Well, if you look at this list, and if I just take the bands that I know I like and the bands that I've heard of and I'm like, I'm probably going to like them. That's like 60% of this lineup. So based off that, you just do the math and you go, if I like 60% of the lineup, there's a good chance I'll like the other 40%. So it makes you more willing to go check out the whole lineup.
Yeah, it's crazy, dude. And then the Sunday line.
Let's go to Sunday.
Oh my God. Like I said, Reggie and the Full Effect. This is really funny too, dynamic as far as where Norma Jean is on the list and where POD is on the list.
I was thinking about that too, because like you see POD, if you think about how fucking big, I was laughing at that because you went to go see POD recently and you're in like, where were you at? Reverb in Reading?
Yeah.
Which is it's not a small venue, but it's not a huge venue. And just going to and be like, I was like, dude, that's so funny. He's going to see POD in that like bar club. And now you look at this list here and you're like, oh shit, POD. I don't want this to come off. I listened to the fuck out of POD back in the day. I got respect for him and shit. But it is funny how time, how things are over the decades and shit, where you're like, damn, Under Oath definitely would have been killing to open up for POD. Now Under Oath's the headliner and POD's on the small print section of the poster.
This is something. This is a correlation I really that I really was able to like solidify. Like it kind of confirmed a theory I had of legitimately the parallels between musicians and comics, because I think that this is kind of like where like at a certain point, comics. So sometimes you'll see Bill Burr is, at the blah 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 arena, but like who's opening for him? Oh, it's fucking like Nate Bargatze, fucking this person, this person, and this person. It's like, no, that's just because they were all available. They're all in town and they're all like, yeah, I'll come do that show with you. It's just let's stack the lineup more. It helps, whether it's announced or not, it helps to sell tickets, but it's also like I think it's just interchangeable. One week this person could be the headliner, the next week they're headlining a different place. They're coming in and doing a spot. So it's like sometimes you're the headliner, sometimes you're the guest spot. It doesn't mean just because you do less time or a smaller set or a smaller stage that you're, but particularly in the case of POD, I think it's a situation of like they're humble. They're like true actual like musicians that they're like, yeah, we had our time where we're playing arenas and fucking all over MTV and all this other shit, but like now we're at the point where like we're just, dude, to me they didn't miss a step. Like they were still really good. Yeah. It's like, and it doesn't seem, it's not like it's not sad. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like this is our audience. This is the audience that we built during that time, and they've stuck with us this whole time. And as even their newer stuff was fucking good. It sounded like the older stuff. Obviously, the hits are the hits.
Well, like, I just want to go off that point you said where you go, it's not sad. I get how from the casual consumer it comes off as sad, but I think when you sort of take the time to kind of like learn about the process more, and you and me aren't musicians or anything, but we know enough to know that like in a lot of these, what is sad is the guy who was at the tippy top and he can't like let go and he can't accept reality. And that's sad. POD, because here's the reality. Some bands get lucky and their particular sound is sort of a little bit more timeless, and other bands get a little unlucky where for whatever reason it becomes, it becomes stuck in that time period and you don't have like long-term success. And on top of that, there's a million bands that were popular that aren't popular that had some crazy behind the scenes story that fucked up their trajectory that we don't know about. Like perfect example is a band who is honestly, in my opinion, not as big as they should be is Thursday. Now they don't have a crazy fucked up story, but if you learn about their story, they were just heavily mismanaged by their label. Now, I will say their follow-up albums weren't as strong, but if they were managed better by the label, it would have went a lot smoother for them and shit like that. So there's a million bands who should have been popular who aren't popular that just got a raw deal because their label didn't know what to fucking do with them.
Yeah, I think there's like, I think it's just it's like a matter of like you have your time of like start, like that's your time. Like sometimes like we were talking about being an actor or being in certain places, like you have your opportunity at stardom sometimes and you can take it, and it's about what you do with that time. It's never forever. Like only a very few amount of like there's only a few amount of, or what am I trying to say? There's only a small amount of people that can actually gain that level of celebrity and either maintain it or grow on it. So like it's just I think they're from my impression, I didn't really talk to a lot of them too much like when I was there, but they were super nice. They were like talking to like being nice to people. They weren't like being prima donnas. They were all really like, they seem like they're realistic or like humble, or you know what I'm saying?
Just
like,
real people.
Yeah,
they seem like they're filled with the glory of God. They're a Christian band, right? Pat,
so. What?
I have a couple questions I want to ask you about this, but I have to piss so aggressively bad.
I actually have to piss as well, so I'll hold the can.
We'll double Dutch. I'll go first, and we'll double Dutch.
Yeah. But yeah, that was it was kind of a thing that I realized with the parallel between comedy and stuff like that is at one point, Dane Cook is filling up arenas and doing like super finger shit, all this other stuff, and movie star and all this stuff, and then at a certain point, depending like actually how Andy put it, I think it's like how willing are you just to say like, well, I had my level of celebrity, I got this notoriety or this fan base from it, and I can live off of that. I can continue to do what I love to do, which is stand up and whatever else. And also, he had a lot of, obviously, that's probably not the best stuff. He also had a lot of controversy with his money and shit, I think, too. But like POD was just like a thing. I think where they were like, they had their hit album, their debut or whatever it was, that one that we all know, Here Comes the Boom, you got your Alive, all this other stuff. And it was, but like they actually had some, I didn't realize how deep they actually went. And I want to bring up this theory with Andy once we're both on mic and we could actually discuss this more. But like, to me, they were the only thing that they're missing from like maybe a Linkin Park or something like that was the fact that like they didn't have the harder edge scream. And when I'm seeing POD perform just recently, and you could probably attest to this, Tonya, but he's got a pretty good scream. It's somewhere between Linkin Park and Deftones.
POD screamed?
Yeah. No, and that was the thing.
Linkin Park and Deftones is a good pairing up of the description.
And if they had leaned into a little bit more of either one of those, I think they could have been those bands. Because POD, like I said, I was saying like the hits are great and everything like that.
Yeah.
But their original, like their other shit that they had that I wasn't as familiar with, I was like, this shit is good. Like it's just fucking new metal, but it's not what Linkin Park was. They didn't have the heavy scream, you know what I'm saying? But he had the rap going into the fucking yell. He had really good yells, like not guttural, but I think having Norma Jean and some of these other screamy bands on the Bad Rabbits or Bad Rabbit or whatever, which was
Bad Wolves.
Bad Wolf, whatever. It was. I didn't appreciate it.
Wait, you talk about the other band, Bad Wolves?
Yeah.
No, I've heard them. They're fine.
But even like he has hip hop stuff, but then he also has like really heavy screams. I think maybe it might have been this tour, or maybe I'm just not as familiar with POD's other stuff, their deep cuts and everything. But he had a pretty decent scream. So like, I don't know why they couldn't have been, because dude, the hits are still the hits. The fucking, and their deep cuts were fucking, they slapped. So
you know what's funny is like perception sometimes is reality for you, because we're like the way I talk about POD, I'm almost just like, yeah, they put out that one album with the ping pong music video and then they just went away forever. But I'm looking at their fucking
they kept going.
I'm looking at their discography on Wikipedia, and now Satellite was that album with damn.
Yes.
Wait, that came out on 9/11?
Oh, really?
According to Wikipedia, their biggest. Where were they on 9/11? Hold the damn phone. No, but yes,
guys, we got to go back over to No More Heroes real quick.
All right, so POD did 9/11. There's a conspiracy of the dancing PODs. But no, it came out in 2001, and that peaked at number 6 in the U.S. And then the next 3 albums all peaked at number 9, which, your album coming out in the top 10 is not like, especially too in the early 2000s, hitting the top 10 means you sold a lot of albums.
Yeah, I think they were like, I feel like they could have definitely had, if they, again, maybe it could have just been a management thing. I don't know a lot about them personally, but they do have it seems like a very dedicated fan base. And they seem very dedicated to their fans.
Yeah.
Like they're a band that obviously has an opportunity. They mentioned, they're like, man, we just played in front of, we were playing in front of however many thousand people yesterday at this. I'm assuming, and I don't mean any disrespect, but I'm assuming at some kind of like festival or like a opening for, they weren't like headlining a 50, but it's like one of those things of like, yeah, because they have those chops. They are conditioned for it because they had that opportunity to play, I'm sure, arenas at one point, and at least for a couple of years, I would assume. But the fan base that they garnered through that time, they are so dedicated to, because he was like, and I really do believe him, after that genuinely said, but this is fucking real. Like, he's like, this shit right here, because you guys are here for and that's another parallel I was drawing as I was sitting there, from a comic to a musician of like, I could perform in front of a room of 200 or 200 plus people or something like that, but it was like flyered, You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Where that's where they just give away a bunch of tickets or something like that. And it was good. It was a very good show. But it was
Yeah.
also like I've also performed in front of 5 or 10 people that all paid for that comedy show.
No,
And that's the thing where like I appreciate those people because like you came here to see this comedy show. That's so fucking cool. Thank you.
I've had that. I get what you're saying. It's like, it's easy to dismiss it to where like, oh yeah, I bet you like those because that's a cope because you can't do the bigger shows. It's like,
No.
but because I also too I don't want to discount the bigger shows because I've done a lot of the bigger shows and those are fun.
I love
But
big shows.
I always go back to this like one time I was doing a porch tour with Robbie Bernstein and we did like, dude, we literally did a show in a dude's living room to like 20 people. And there was something so fun and special. And I've done the shows to like a couple hundred people, 1,000 people or whatever. I've done those, not a lot, but I've done them. But no, there was like, I think in the long term, just the uniqueness of it and the sort of special element of it, it sticks out a little bit more. Now, is that a financially sustainable path? No, but from a artistically fulfilling standpoint, there is on those more personal, like knowing you're at a show with a bunch of people who like want to fucking be there and like fuck with you, that means a lot more than just purely the numbers.
And that's exactly what like he conveyed. Sonny was saying like he was like he mentioned that and I didn't like at first,
you're a POD fan. You're on a first
dude, I like POD now, dude. I'm excited to check out some more of their songs because it's like it's good fucking solid new metal. Like I love new metal. Why wouldn't I love this band? Like I should have known. Why wouldn't I know? But this is the reason at first it sounds like a brag to say, oh, yesterday we were playing in front of 50,000 people. But like this, I truly do believe him because the 50,000 people, whether it be at a festival, they're not as invested and they're not as like connected to you because these are all people that came here. They're wearing their fucking POD shit because they fucking love POD because, and that's what I'm saying is like, I respect that and I really do appreciate the fact that they're taking bands like Norma Jean because, dude, Norma Jean's set, holy fuck, dude.
Tell me about
that. Again, if we're equating it to, it would be like me having somebody that I think is a fucking killer go ahead of me, just so it would motivate me to try, like to work harder and to do more. At the same time, exposing a band like Norma Jean to a POD crowd that has that to still have bands like that on tour with you, like. That's so fucking cool to me. And I'm not saying like, oh, you did Norma Jean a favor or something like that, but like the fact that you're willing to have a band that is so unique in that way.
Is Norma Jean still like considered a Christian band?
I don't. Oh, you're Christian. I don't know actually, but that would make sense too because also I didn't realize because Dom asked me if they were Christian and I was like, I don't think so. You asked me. This guy in that we got somebody in the chat. Far Wild said that they saw him at a local church. Back in the day?
That was I remember that was the thing back in the day. You remember when we were younger and you'd find out if a band was Christian, you'd be like, I don't like them now.
But I never got that with POD. I never heard that with POD.
I remember hearing about that, and I remember actually in the moment like being like, I don't care, they're really good.
yeah, they fucking rule. And that explains the positive vibes. I get that.
Yeah.
But like it's legitimately. It didn't seem like they didn't seem like phony shitheads. They had a tour bus. They had a bus. You know what I'm saying? But they definitely it didn't feel like a tour bus band. The guitar player came back. Actually, the guitar player and Tyler are good friends. Our friend from Capra is friends.
Well, that's how you got in. You know, we're connected. We're connected people.
Connected. But before we get into it, let me take a quick.
You gonna crush a piss?
I'm gonna crush one quick piss. Just one.
Better be a quick old pee pee.
It's gonna go pee pee. I'm just gonna go over in the corner real quick. I'll be right
back. Get out of here, you scamp. Hell yeah. Yeah, no, I haven't listened to POD in a while. Pat's definitely selling them pretty hard for me. I fucking I saw they were putting out a new album. And I got to be perfectly honest. One of the wait, let me look it up. Try to remember it so they put out I stay up to date with my Spotify account, seeing what the new music was, and I saw POD. Yeah, here we go. What is it? Veritas? Yeah, they put out their new album, and they had some pre-releases. And I got to be perfectly honest. I got to be perfectly honest. There was like one or two songs where I was like, "That's rough. That sucks ass." If I'm being keeping it a buck. But POD's POD, and I'm excited to still check out the broad thing. You can definitely have one or two releases that don't necessarily meet the mark, but still be a good fucking time. But yeah, there was what does it say? I bought the POD album at the Bible store. No shit. Yeah, dude, the whole I don't know. That is a thing I kind of regret a little bit from back in the day. Like, I've been thinking about this more because I'm not a huge fan of organized religion because I notice with organized religion, it usually leads to someone who it's basically a lot of times with organized religion, it basically leads to someone who acts like they have all the magical information and they use that to sort of manipulate people and stuff like that. But I think if you look at like Christianity on a broader sense, not just like the crimes that have resulted from it, just like what the book says, you can sort of look at it as like, oh, here's a book with a lot of nice way, a lot of good ways to lead your life and stuff like that. But sort of having that unnuanced look, it makes me look back at how I viewed Christian rock bands and Christian metalcore bands and Christian hardcore bands and shit like that. It makes me feel like a little bit of a fucking dickhead, but it is what it is. But yeah, I am definitely. I was telling them, Pat, I've heard a single or two off the POD album, and I did not fuck with it too hard. But the way you're selling this, it definitely makes me want to hop back into.
Just give them another shot. Just check out some of the other stuff. Yeah.
Well, I also give them props too. I didn't realize this. I thought I was just on the assumption, okay, POD had a long hiatus and they exhausted all of their money making options, and now they're back with no. They didn't stop doing music. They've been putting out steady music. Like I'm on their Spotify. I'm looking at their discography. Like, dude, since 94. It was literally 94. Like, this is how often they put out albums: 94, 96, 99, 2001, 03, 06, 08, 12, 15, 18, 24. Like, didn't go more than about 4 years occasionally without putting out a new album. So I give major respect for that. I didn't realize they were on their shit that consistently.
And not only that, but just to close out the POD section of that part, there was it was pretty apparently Tyler told me this. The drummer for POD at the show was Sonny's son. His flesh and blood kid was the
That's cool.
And apparently it was also they explained during the set. They did not mention that it was his son, but they did mention that it was only his third time playing with the band. He fucking killed it.
Really?
He did a really good job. Like it's crazy. So like shout out to them. They ripped. I think they got a new fan from me. I was a casual fan. I was a pretty big fan when they first came out, and I would say, if they ever came up, I would say, yeah, I like POD. Yeah, why not? Yeah. But like, I'm not like a fan, but I'll fucking actually do a little deep dive and I'll actually check out some of their older, newer, and up to date stuff, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm sure it eventually at a certain point, maybe I may not love it, but like at least them following up the album. I think I remember another hit from their second album. Didn't they have a hit from the second one, or at least tried, or a single from it? I remember it being pretty good. I don't know.
Yeah. Maybe so I apologize. I'm not giving you my full attention because I'm double checking who the drummer is. Do you remember what his name was? It's okay if you don't.
No, not offhand. No.
I was gonna say you for way too long. I was like,
no, I think. Well, I think it was that's blah blah blah. Sonny's kid. And I was like,
oh, okay. I'm just double checking because okay, I googled it and this is really funny random tidbit and because I guess for one tour back in 2022 because you said this was only the third show his kid did drums for him.
Yeah, he said played these songs.
Yeah. So back in 2022, this is very random. The drummer The former drummer of Suicide Silence did a tour with them.
Holy shit.
Alex Lopez.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
That's really funny.
They have some deep metal fucking roots, dude. I'm telling you.
Yeah, man. How was the rest of the show?
So, Bad Wolves, if you ain't got nothing nice to say, don't say nothing at all. Sorry, guys.
They're one of those no, I actually want to
familiar with them before that.
I would like to say bad things about this band.
Really? Good.
No, you know what it is?
Like fucking corny ass wannabe hard Nickelback. They're like a harder.
Yeah. No, exactly. It's this sect of like metalcore that drives me up a fucking wall, and it's just like it's these bands that you're just a hard rock band. Like stop. You know, if you're just gonna. You know, I remember talking about it on like No More Heroes. What annoys me about conservatives is they steal all the like libertarian language and then just act like fucking like they basically are. They're no better than the liberals that they fucking hate.
Yeah,
and you're just stealing the vernacular, and that's what bands like this. I've been really getting annoyed by this band. They're called The Plot in You. And they go viral every once in a while because they have this one on TikTok, because they have this one song that it does have this very cool part that leads into a very heavy breakdown. But it just drives me up a fucking wall where it'll be these TikToks where they'll be like, metal songs don't have any deeper meaning. And then you hear this and they're like, oh my God, it does. But then it's like, yeah. No, but like play a metal band. These guys like Plot in You, Bad Wolves, bands like those, they're pop bands that steal the metalcore vernacular to come off harder than they actually are. And I'm not saying you can't have poppy parts in your songs. Just, you know, it's like you're selling me a shitty car, but you bought the exterior of like a fucking Lamborghini to trick me into thinking it's an expensive car. It's like, no, the inner workings of it still suck shit. And I can't so bands like that drive me up a fucking wall. I don't know anything. I can't tell you a Bad Wolf song. I just know I've listened to them and I've felt this before. My goddamn fucking cat's doing the same goddamn shit again.
No,
he busts into the room, gets locked in, then bitches that he's locked in. Anyway, I'm sorry, Pat.
That's okay, buddy. No, I agree with you. That's just one of those things that like I just they're on tour with these guys and like I said, like meeting them and actually talking to some of the guys, you do, you know, that they're people, they're just like performers, but it's like, and I'm sure they're very nice and I didn't see a lot of them hanging out after the show, but
that's a good point, by the way, too. It is in a weird way. I am gonna completely shit on and eviscerate your band, but it is like nothing personal.
Yeah,
you're probably nice. You're probably I know it's a thin distinction. Yeah. I get it. And if Bad Wolves ever watch this and hate me, completely fair.
Well, I'm more worried about offending either Norma Jean or POD. Like if for some reason they happen to catch they see this and they're like, hey, we actually like those guys. Obviously they're on tour with you. There's a like it's not, you know what I mean?
They're allowed to have their opinion.
But
I personally,
don't do it for me.
As an autistic music fan, I feel differently about bands like Bad Wolves. And it's like, but it is this weird thing where I'm like, you know, I mean, you've been there where like there'll be comics who suck ass, but they're still chill to hang out with.
Yeah.
So it's this weird thing where you're like, you seem chill. It's like nothing personal. It's just everything you create sucks ass.
Is that true? You see that? The vocalist for Bad Wolves used to be the guitarist from Acacia Strain, sorry.
Acacia Strain?
I don't know how to say words. You know that.
I mean, yeah, but if you're trying to say the Acacia Strain, you're not even attempting to say it right.
I'm not.
Yeah, but don't give me guff, is what I'm trying to say. What?
Did I give you guff? I'm sorry.
It is a little guff. It's okay.
Consider the guff redacted.
Thanks, man.
But yeah, that's
Wait, when did Bad Wolves come out?
I have no idea.
They're new.
Are they?
They only came out in 2017
after
Trump got elected.
Oh boy.
Mm-hmm.
I did wear a red hat. No, he didn't.
Wait, are you on their wiki?
No, I'm not.
Where are you?
I'm at my house. What's up?
Wait, here we go. Bad Wolves was founded. Shut up. Shut the fuck up. Bad Wolves was founded in 2017 by drummer John Becklin, ex Devil Driver, vocalist Tommy Vext, ex Divine Heresy. I'm dumb. Ex Westfield Massacre, lead guitarist Doc Coyle, ex God Forbid, rhythm guitarist Chris Kane, ex Bury Your Dead, ex For the Fallen Dreams, and bassist Kyle Conkiel, ex In This Moment, ex Scar the Martyr.
So I wonder if they were just a bunch of members of those other bands that they didn't want to hang out with either, and they were like, let's form a super group of people that nobody wants to hang out with.
Oh, here we go. Here we go. The vocalist of Bad Wolves used to be the guitarist of Acacia Strain. Oh, were you reading here?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That was a reading problem, Andy, not a. I don't know
sorry,
who that
Buckaroo.
is. I didn't know Acacia Strain. I just know I've heard of something Strain, and that's like aren't they metal?
They are. They're like hard. They're like kind of like. Have you ever heard of doom metal?
Yeah.
They're like a more, but they're like if Amur went in a more doom metal direction.
Bad Wolves were more like literally like rap Nickelback metal.
Yeah.
And it was like it was not something that I enjoyed too much. But and then the other band, I can't remember the name of them.
Tonier's funny. He goes, I thought you were talking about that shitty band Bad Omen this whole time. They also fall into that category.
This band was
I thinking of Bad Omens this whole time?
Maybe, I don't know. Blind Channel might be a local band, but Blind Channel, when I came in, I was just catching the last bit of their set, and they were playing a hardcore / metal version of Hit Me Baby One More Time or something like that. They had done that, and then they played, the last song they played was a Backstreet Boys cover, but metal.
Who was that?
Blind Channel.
Oh, okay.
And that was one where I was like, I think this is a local band because I can't imagine that POD chose this band to go on tour with them. Like this, or even Norma Jean or any of. I don't know how many of them. Again, hey, maybe they're really cool and fun to hang out with, but musically didn't connect with me so much. So,
who's the vocalist? So the current vocalist of Bad Wolves used to be in the Acacia Strain. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So wait, lead vocal. What the fuck's his name? Oh, here we go. Sorry, I'm just double checking. This is like that's a crazy thing to me. If the dude used to be in the Acacia Strain,
because it's that different. It was not doom metal.
Yeah, no. Acacia Strain. Wait, has Acacia Strain had a different lead singer? Oh no, you said he was the guitarist, right?
Yeah, I think that's what.
Yeah. Because I was gonna say the Acacia Strain has always
the UK.
What'd you say?
Blind Channel is from the UK, so they definitely weren't just here and just decided to play in Reading in front of these bands. Holy shit, that's so weird. They did like Backstreet Boys covers and shit.
I mean, that used to be popular. There could still be dudes sort of holding on to that.
I guess so. I mean, people were hyped. They had people fucking hyped for him. They loved it. A lot of people were filming it.
Damn, that's interesting. Dude was in the Acacia Strain for over a decade.
It was a very confusing tour.
And then you joined Bad Wolves. Yeah. I feel like booking a tour is hard sometimes because to have like 4 bands that all work together but don't encroach on each other's sounds too hard.
Yeah,
can be difficult, I think.
Yeah, it wasn't. They were all pretty heavy bands. Like they were all pretty. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of the bands were relatively metalish or hardcore. You know what I mean? Like so. Like there was definitely a theme, but there was just like different flavors of it. All different parts of the spectrum. But my Norma Jean ripped. I did notice this during the set, and I'll circle back to this later on. But while I was watching Norma Jean, it felt like I was watching. It wasn't like I was watching a norm. I was thinking, because Tai, the whole reason I was able to go to the show. Shout out to friend of the show, one of our favorite guitar players in Capra, Tai. had posted something about going to the show, like posted the flyer to the show and said, "Oh, cool, I get to reunite with my old friends." And they were from Norma Jean and POD. He's friends with a guitar player. Some people that are with the tour. And I replied to the thing because at first I liked it, and then I replied. I was like, "Oh shit! I thought you guys got added to the show," and I was like, "I have to go. You guys like an hour away from me, and this is a crazy lineup." But I remember specifically after the Strung Out with Les and Jake, I had to make the declaration. If I didn't make the declaration, I wouldn't stop. Like I was like, I have to stop going to shows because I have to start really focusing on moving to Austin. Like I have to stop spending fucking money on beer, tickets, merch. Because that's the thing. I'm not gonna go to a show and limit myself. If I go to a show, just like I go to a sporting event or anything else, I'm getting beers. I'm buying merch if I want it. I'm buying snacks. I'm not going on a budget. I'm going to fuck it up. I'm going to go have a good time. So like me going to a show is at minimum 3 beers, probably at least a shirt. If I see, unless they don't have anything in my size or something I like, so, and I'm going to a Norma Jean show. They're not going to have merch I like, Andy. What am I, a fucking idiot? This is a top 5 all-time band for me. I love this band. Yeah, I love Norma Jean, so it's huge for me. So I just messaged Ty going, "Hey, that was pretty funny because I was like, I was gonna break my declaration and go to this thing if you guys were there. That's crazy." And he's like, "Well, I'm going." He's like, "Do you want me to get you on the list?" And I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Yes, yeah." What? And Dom was in Baltimore. So like Dom's in Baltimore for the day visiting her sister, and I was like, "Fuck yeah, she gets to go on a trip. I'm gonna go to Reading. I'm gonna." And I thought,
do a competition. Fuck that stupid bitch. I'm going on a trip.
Fucking drink beers, my friend.
Yeah, you fucking dumb bitch.
But I'm like, yeah, absolutely. So he sets it up, and sends me the thing that says like the set list, and I see that Norma Jean only has like a half an hour, and I was like, oh man, this is gonna be like a Warped Tour set. They're going to be doing the hits but I get to the venue, I give them my ID and everything. I get the little pass. And then I'm just waiting, and I get there kind of perfectly. I smash 2 beers right off the bat, just because I'm by myself at the point. Ty's not at the show, and but I'm just like sitting there going like, man, this is nuts. Like, that's crazy. It's so cool that I went from me going like, hey, oh, you guys are on the show, and him just going like, you want to go in? And I was just like, holy shit, yeah, I can just do that now. Like, I have a friend that I know people.
That's pretty sick.
It's a cool string to pull, I guess. But it was like, I didn't even mean to pull it. It was like, that was like a thing where it's just like, I get to go with my friend Tyler and his lovely lady and go see one of my all-time favorite bands.
Yeah, it's fun when you don't have to ask, because that is awkward when you have to ask. So, yeah, man. Did Norma Jean do what's their fucking song?
Memphis Will Be Laid to Rest.
Did they do that? When do they did that, right?
So this was the thing that I kind of had to backtrack just to see how we got here. So I'm at the show. They're playing the set, and it's like, it's great because it's Norma Jean. It's still incredible, but they're not all the Norma Jean classics, the ones that you're going to go to the hits. Even like they're not even necessarily the singles.
You're talking about the songs they're playing?
Yeah. Yeah, they're set. So like, so I'm like, I'm kind of, it's very interesting to me. It's still incredible, but it's not the most recognizable song.
Did they do Memphis?
I'm getting to that, Andy. Will you shut the fuck up for fuck?
I mean, you're so good at getting to the point.
I get to their second to last, the penultimate song, Andy, the penultimate song in their set list. And at this point, they've only played like one single from their couple of their most recent.
Was it Memphis?
And they say this one is for all of the old school Norma Jean fans, and everybody goes,
that's when they played Memphis.
And they go, yeah, for all of you guys that have been around here for a while. And they
want to hear Memphis
from the album Redeemer. And I go, oh, that's old school now. Like,
wow,
that was newer to me at the point. Like, and they go like, and it was the hit, the single from that album as well, but like it wasn't necessarily like it wasn't they never played Memphis. They never played it.
Okay, so that's interesting because, and then based off what you were saying earlier, I wonder if Norma Jean is going more the direction, like, I wonder if they're thinking POD fans might not be hardcore Norma Jean fans. So let's play more newer stuff to try to get them into us so they know what we sound like right now rather than harp on all the old material.
So after the show, I was talking to Matt, the drummer from Norma Jean, and I was kind of discussing. I had this thought on my way to the show, and I was kind of, again, it was another parallel between comedy and music that I was thinking of. I asked him. The question I asked him was, I said, do you guys get sick of your set lists after a while? Like, how often do you change it up to like try not to get to where, not sick of it? I don't mean, because I didn't want to like make it seem like you would get tired of playing songs, but as somebody who has a set list, you might get into a point where you're just kind of going through the motions and you're just saying the things, or you're just doing the things because, and you don't feel as connected. And I honestly, Andy, I got to tell you, I am still on cloud nine. I got one of the best compliments I think I've ever gotten, and the most vindication I've ever gotten that I should be exactly where I am. He goes, "That's a really good, interesting question." He's like, "Huh?" And then he immediately starts giving me a very insightful answer. He says basically what we both suspected. They built this set list to appeal to the POD crowd.
Yeah,
to be,
that makes sense.
Not necessarily for the Norma Jean crowd, but for a POD. They were still Norma Jean. They're still playing Norma Jean songs because they have that. And I told him too. I said, I think you guys definitely have that crossover, that appeal to other bands that are a little bit more commercial or something like that. Like I said, Deftones. They're very similar. Norma Jean is also very similar to Deftones. Sometimes, but they also have that old school hardcore metalcore sound. So like they have the ability to reach a lot of different genres. So why not, if you're building a set? But his personal answer, Matt's answer actually to the question was he's like, there's certain songs that I don't
Matt's answer.
Get this, Andy. I followed him. He fucking followed back.
Yeah. Who did?
I think we can have him on the show, dude. He's a producer. He produced the last.
Who is
album? Matt, my friend.
Matt
plays drums. You ever heard Norma Jean? He plays
I heard of him.
Anyway, I complimented them on their rhythm.
I got a friend who likes him. He doesn't really answer my questions directly, but yeah, he tells me about him.
Yeah, Matt. But he said there are songs that he doesn't necessarily like playing, and actually named a couple, which was pretty funny because they did play one that night. But he goes, he's like, there's certain songs that I don't necessarily love playing or anything like that. But he said, the way I kind of get fulfillment out of performing is like the crowd's reaction.
Yeah.
So like whatever songs they do, that you can't pick for sure winners no matter what. He said, if I was building a set though, and then dude, he starts going into telling me how he would build a set, the songs that he would build. And I was like, I actually asked a real insightful question and got a fucking genuine, insightful answer.
Yeah.
Of like, it's not necessarily trying to pick the perfect set list, but it's more of like, if the audience, like at the end of it, the reaction, it was very similar to comedy. It was like kind of like one of those things of like, if they're reacting to it positively, I get more fulfillment out of my performance.
Yeah, no, it was definitely, I was definitely, I was very curious about that, especially with the set list structure, because the other element you also got to think about, like I'm on their Wikipedia right now, and you always go on these bands' Wikipedias and you look at the chart for all the members and shit.
Yeah.
I mean, you can see right there, it's just, it's a lot of changing and shit like that. So basically at this point, I don't know if they have any day one members.
Dude,
like I'm looking at their Wikipedia right now. And from what I can tell, they have, their lead singer is the only kind of original member is their second lead singer who's been there since 04, which is like the vast majority of the time. But everyone else, everyone else is like new members and shit like that. So you got to think. I let you talk for 9 hours, Pat. You got to think too. Like, sorry, was that mean? I'm just busting your balls. I interrupt you constantly. I'm just joking around. You gotta think too. Like, none of these guys, that's why I was asking specifically about Memphis Will Surely Be Laid to Waste. None of these guys have an emotional attachment to the song. Exactly. They're only playing that song because they go, the fans are going to like it. But as members of the band, none of them care about that. And I'm looking at the band right now. Most of these band members are like post 2018, 2019. So most of these band members don't have an emotional attachment to most of the music.
Yeah.
So most of the band members are just going to be like, yeah, we only want to play songs off like the 2 newest albums.
What about, can I ask you real quick about the guitar player, Jeff? How long? Because I had a pretty interesting conversation with him too. And he was talking about Redeemer.
Bro, they've had so many band members.
Yeah. That's what that was the one question that I didn't want to ask anybody because I felt like that was like the dumb, stupid.
Look at that shit, dude.
But it's like the band of Theseus at this point.
What'd you say?
It's like the band of Theseus. The ship of Theseus is fucking
gay?
No, that's not super gay, but it's close. It's
gay guy?
What's the thing called? What's philosophy?
Hey, are you?
It's not gay. It's philosophy. Hold on. No,
are you a fucking gay guy?
The ship of Theseus is the theory that a ship named Theseus at over time, every single piece of the ship is replaced.
Yeah.
Is that truly the ship of Theseus anymore? Or is it only by name? So this is the band of Theseus, but it's the band Norma Jean.
Well, so you know what's funny about you brought up that dude Jeff? What'd you say? Yeah. Their guitarist Jeff?
Yeah.
Well, you know what's funny about him? This is a much deeper down the thing. Whatever you said, the ship of Theseus. Mm-hmm. Jeff, he stopped being the like contributing guitarist in 2019, but he's still the touring guitarist.
Yeah.
So it's like another layer to the whole experience. Is like he doesn't even help write the music, but he's still with the band. No, that's definitely, you know who's getting those accusations right now is fucking Slipknot, because the only original members in Slipknot, I didn't realize this. The only original members are Corey Taylor and one of the clowns that plays the timpani.
Really?
Yeah. And so people are kind of giving Slipknot shit for like how expensive their shows are, where they're like, we're going to see a cover band.
But that dude, this has been Gwar. This is Gwar. This is what I've been saying forever. It's always been Slipknot because of Corey, and it's always been Norma Jean apparently because of the lead singer. Do you know what I'm saying? Like it's the lead singer that took over in 2004 that kind of took the reins from, I believe, Josh Scogin, I think at that point, right? That would be.
Yeah, so, I think Scogin was in for 2, like maybe 2 albums.
And they've only had,
and then he was out of there.
That means they've only had 2 singers. They've only had Josh Scogin and
they've had 3 singers.
Okay.
Josh Scogin, Brad Norris, and then Corey. But the dude Corey's been there since 03 and oh, okay, yeah. You know what? Scogin was only there for 1 album, and then that other dude was there probably for tour. And then, Oh God, The Aftermath comes out in 05, and the dude they have now has basically been in there since 05. So they're the only real original member is the lead singer. But at the same time, like, I don't think that necessarily means like, oh, are they whatever that ship you said was.
Still sounded like Norma Jean to me.
And that's the other thing too. When you look from a standpoint of songwriting and shit like that, like, you know, most bands have one core songwriter. Like, so, yeah, you could get rid of most of Fall Out Boy as long as Pete Wentz is there. The songs are still going to sound the same, more or less.
And I think so. That was the funny thing. I started to. So the really funny thing that happened was I got after POD was done playing. We went backstage and we were standing near the buses and the trailers and stuff like that. And I was standing next to, so turns out, I want to say again, shout out to Jeff. I appreciate. He's actually the one that put me on the list for Norma Jean and everything like that.
Shout out Jeff.
And that was so I was hanging out with Tyler, I was hanging out with his lady, I was hanging out with this guy Jeff, that like I'm trying not to embarrass Tai. I'm
Be a
trying
gay
not
ass fan.
to, I don't want to be a gay
I've been there 1,000 times.
but
that was my whole experience. Me and Killer Mike. I'd be like, "Don't be a gas fan. Don't be a gas fan."
Doing it, dude. I was doing it. I was doing so good, right? And I just happened to go. I happened to start a sentence with, dude, the first time I saw Norma Jean, and he kind of, I saw his face. I saw his face, and I was like losing him, and he's kind of like, who brought this guy? And I was like, but I stopped, and like we just kind of had a conversation, but we ended up talking about. I noticed Tai kind of like adjusting his back a little bit, and I was having the same problem, and I was like, yeah, it's like we can't stand like we used to for multiple hours just watching a show in these fucking shoes or anything. I said I need to make a special kind of shoe that has like arch support, and you know what else? And I pointed to Jeff and I go, slip resistant, and he goes, that's a good idea. He's like, I've been trying to think about having like a performance shoe that's like slip resistant.
Yeah.
He's like, some of these stages are fucking terrible. You know, he's like,
and then like, you were like, that is a good idea. That reminded me of a good idea after the third release of the Norma Jean's album.
No, dude,
you go right back into it.
How I weave this little fucking gem in. I do one of these. I said recently I've noticed a lot of bands, including Capra, Tai-Tai's band. I didn't say Tai, but I said they were having trouble with like the lighting guy, like with the strobe effect, doing it to where like, hey man, you gotta chill out with that because we gotta play up here. I said it's disorienting and all this stuff. And I said, I remember seeing you guys. I remember seeing Norma Jean at the House of Blues in 2000 or whatever with Atreyu and Unearth. And he's like, yeah. He's like, that was a little bit before me. And I was like, yeah, but I said they had these big floodlights. You guys used to have these. And he's like, oh yeah. We used to have these big floodlights and we used to put them on our cabs. And then I was like, yeah, they would backlight you. And it would look so epic. I remember.
Oh, that's cool.
I told him, I shared the story of, I was like, I was on my way there. And I said, I remember the whole time I've heard of Norma Jean. I was familiar, but the whole time on my way to the show, I thought I was going to see Nora. And he laughed. And I was, by the way, I got a laugh out of 3 different members of Norma Jean. That felt good. But he laughed at it and he's like, yeah, that used to be. And I said, it made it look like a horror movie. It's so epic. You guys were opening for these other huge metal bands, but you made such an impression because of like that simple just effect of like a couple of floodlights perfectly timed with the fucking breakdowns and shit like that. It made it look so cool. And I said, it reminded me of like a Hitchcock thing. And I said, and then you guys put out Redeemer and it looks like the cover of the Birds. And I was like, I fucking love that aesthetic and that connection to the live show. And he shared a really funny story about an old member of the band, I think Stevie or something like that. I think that was his name, that he was terrified of birds. And they found this painting, the painting that ended up being the cover of the album or whatever. And they used to like chase him and like fuck with him with it, because I was like, did you ever like, did he have a hard time on that tour with like the merch and stuff with all the bird imagery and shit? And he's like, not really, but he kind of got used to it a little bit. But the whole origin of that was them appreciating busting his balls about being scared of birds, and that's why they wanted to use that cover and stuff.
No shit. Yeah, it's a good cover. I just looked it up as you were talking. I forgot it. It's a good cover.
Yeah, I thought that was really funny. Also, I shared the anecdote of Tai was talking about. Yeah, it's fucking crazy, right?
It's a good cover.
Like, so they so Tai was, I noticed a couple of times I was busting his balls because he was vaping during the show. I was like, I saw you, little sneaky boy, you vaping during the show. And he said, I'll vape anywhere, I'll do it anywhere, and all this other shit. And I said, don't do that. I said, I found out vapes set off fire alarms. I said, I was at I told him about the Phantom Power thing, and he apparently had also set one off at a hotel or something like that. But I thought it was pretty funny. The whole story about the lighting and thing. That's what I wanted to talk about. Anytime if I'm talking to my friend Matt about the set list or anything like that.
Well, that's what you got to do. That's what I learned when you talk to someone like that. is they've heard people go, "You're blah 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 meant so much to me, blah blah blah," and which is a nice thing to say, but if you kind of dig a little deeper, you start to realize, like, no, you're just kind of going up to this, like, either famous person, or if they're not famous, they're talented, and that, you know, they've built this body of work, and you're just kind of a fan, and you're essentially going up to them and going, "Let me tell you about myself."
Yeah, let me
Which
tell you
is-
why you matter to me.
Yeah, which they don't know. It's like when you do comedy and you'll have people go up to you, go, "I've thought about doing stand up," and you're like, "I don't know who you are. So this, like, I have no emotional attachment to you. So how would this mean anything to me?" And
Yeah.
it's literally so that's why it's like, it's kind of, that's why it feels cringy in the like, thinking about it later, going up being like, "I like your album, you know, it means this to me," and blah 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 blah. You know, when the better move. And that's like, I think I told the story when I met the guitarist of Enter Shikari. Rather than going, "Hey, I like your album," I went, "Hey, on the song The Jester, how do you do that slow slide up the guitar?"
Yeah.
And he goes, "Oh," he's like, "Let me show you, mate." And then it turned into, and that's what you did. You go, "Hey, I thought I thought that was a cool aesthetic thing, the way you lit the stage and shit like that." That's the key.
Well,
That's the key to talking to someone you admire, who's like, you're a fan of, is have a more specific question or a statement that's not just, "Hey, let me tell you how I feel about that."
Yeah, you can be, the thing I noticed was, like, you're performers. You're in one way a peer, but in more ways a fan. So, like, your thing is like, "Hey, I appreciate." I talked about it. The bass player, Clay, the bass player for Norma Jean. I noticed, like, it's the same thing I did all those years ago at that Unearthed show when I talked to the Unearthed guitar player. I brought up the fact that I noticed every time, like, every once in a while, he would do this move where he's like holding his guitar and then you go like this. He kept doing this with his hand. He would, like, throw his other hand like this, like, oh, but open. And I'd be like, I'm like, "Are you throwing a pick every time you do this move?" And he goes, No. He's like, I'm way too cheap. He's like, "Only at the end." He's like, "I was doing this." He's like, "But I felt like this felt better and it looked cooler." And I was like, "Yeah, it totally does." But I said, I honestly, every time you did that, I had my arms up. You'll appreciate this. This is the one thing that I think I did creep somebody out about. And this is true Pat fashion. I go, "Yeah, every time you did that," I said, "I thought it looked really cool." And I was like, "But every time I had my hands up and my mouth open," because I was going like, "Yeah," I thought for sure I was going to catch a mouth and a tongue, or what, a pick on the tongue or something like that. And he goes, he kind of just did that. I was just like, oh, I was like, I would have been cool with it. It just would have been weird. I thought for sure, because you're,
You know what? I don't want to say your problem, but your thing is you're able to be comfortable with people way quicker they're able to be comfortable with you.
Yeah, that was like 2 or 3 sentences in. I'm talking about him putting stuff in my mouth. You know what I mean? Like, and it's like,
you get very comfortable. You can get very comfortable with people way quicker.
Yeah.
I just realized that's what it is with you.
I do one of these. I go like this. I go, "Where'd Matt go? I was hitting it off with Matt. Where's Matt?"
That's so goddamn funny. Word. Well,
it was a cool experience, and I'm grateful for Tai for hooking it up.
Shout out Tai.
And I'm grateful for my new friends, Matt, Jeff.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Clay's into it or anything like that. He was a young beautiful man that probably didn't appreciate me talking about my mouth.
You're close friends with all of them. We know this.
I guess so. I mean, but you know what it was truly though, because I had that fucking whole ordeal all those years ago. You remember the Lars Fredriksson incident, or non-incident. The fact that I went to this whole festival,
the story where nothing happened,
trying to do exactly what I did here, was I just wanted to talk to a couple of my legitimately talk to a couple of people that I really admire for their work and say like, "Hey, I feel like I have a couple of interesting insights."
Yeah, but you were backstage physically in front of them, not asking Lars to meet up with 2 fat idiots that he never met before. "Hey, we're guys and not hot chicks, and we have a podcast that will not help your career."
Oh, you're assuming that all these artists only want to talk to hot chicks.
I mean, I get it. He could have titty fucked you and Chris the same way as 2 hot chicks, but he didn't want to. All right,
It was vindication. It was vindication. So
I have to drink beer and eat pasta, Pat.
I
What
don't
do we
fucking I met a great band that I love a lot. Apparently, none of the original members that I've ever seen live perform, but I did meet these guys.
Hey, you played on this album. That wasn't me. But you played on this album. That wasn't me either. But you definitely played on this album. I didn't know.
I'm not in that. I'm in Bad Wolves. Oh,
it'd be so funny. I'm actually in Bad Wolves.
Yeah. Sorry.
Hell yeah. Guys, thanks for hanging out with us. You guys fucking rule. We'll be back here next Sunday. Just a reminder too, No More Heroes is on the YouTube now. So we hop in there usually around 11 to 11:15. And it's starting to feel like we're over here at like 1:30 now.
Yeah. Yeah, that's about right. Because depending on potty breaks and or if we need to eat anything, apparently after the show, because this guy's cranky. But you can come join. And guys, hit subscribe. Matt, if you're watching, I know you are. I love you. I'll call you later.
I love you. I love you, Matt.
I love you too.
Matt, I love you. All right, guys, later.